Okay, we have some old business, basically, essentially the minutes of the last few weeks, and we'll start with that. I'm gonna have minutes in front of me regarding the regular Board of Selectmen meeting on December 7th, at 7. Do we have a motion on that?
Okay, motion to accept the December 7th regular meeting minutes as amended.
Yep.
I'm gonna abstain, you go ahead and second them, Mike.
I'll second, since you're out, you're abstaining, that's fine. Cory, do you have that?
Yes, I do, sir.
Okay.
Any discussion?
Dave, no, abstain.
Any discussion on the minutes, Bob?
No.
No? If be so kind to, and Cory doesn't sign those today, it's gonna be recorded by the substitute, and then we got a substitute note taker.
Yeah. That's.
Okay, we have another set of minutes, Bob, we have it for, Thursday, December 7th, these are non-public minutes, this is the one starting at, 8:12.
And a motion to accept the non-public minutes as amended on 12/7/2017.
And Bob, I just wanna point out, these were not amended.
That one wasn't?
No,
The 8:12, the start time is 8:12
correct,
p.m.
8:12, those were not amended, those were ready, those were, the recording secretary did a fantastic job.
Lean, what time did the meeting start last week?
One non-public at 8:12 p.m.
Yeah, and the other one?
at 8:51.
Did you have two non-public?
Two
Yes.
non-publics and
Okay.
then a regular meeting.
8:51, and what time did the regular meeting start?
7, it should be right on the top.
7:03.
So, thank you.
Okay, Bob, I have another set of minutes, this is a second non-public, and one that started at 8:51, December 7th, Thursday. Do I hear a motion?
Oh, okay, you did the 8/12 first, okay.
Yep.
That's the first one I had in my line, that's why.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to accept the non-public, 8:51 minutes as amended.
I second, all in favor?
Aye.
Another abstain, Cory.
Yep.
I'll give him a chance
I'm
next
both,
time.
I'm 8/12 and
Okay, and then we have a special meeting on December 12th, Tuesday afternoon at 1 p.m. I'm giving Corin a chance to catch. And this is a non-public meeting, Corin. And all three, and I'll take a motion to accept those minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept those, I was here for those.
Dave, you want to make the motion?
Bob, will you second?
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion on those minutes?
Nope.
I thought they were well written. And I'm gonna pass it this way to you. Sign it first, Steve. All in, no, I didn't.
You were
All
too
in
busy
favor, all in
signing.
favor? Aye. Yeah, it goes that
Were
way.
you there for that one, Dave?
Yes, all three of us.
That's what I made the motion.
You can't rattle me tonight, though, it's too cold out. Lean, the librarian came in just to give us a heads up. There'll be an unsecured door at the top of the staircase. In the top, second floor of the library.
What is the alarm going on?
And it may be temperature sensitive, and so the one room was very, very cold. I checked it this afternoon, and so she made the recommendation she'd like to keep the door unsecured on the top stairs. The exterior perimeter is still secure, it's the interior perimeter.
Oh,
I'll check it tonight, I'm on duty.
Okay, so one of these stairs on the second floor will be unsecured, and she just stopped in to let us know that, give her a heads up. It's just something, with the cold night, she doesn't want the alarms going off and making everyone go crazy in the middle of the night, getting phone calls. Okay, I'm gonna open it up now to public comment. Nope,
I'm good right now.
okay.
Good evening, gentlemen. Don Larson, 32 Birchview Drive, and I would just like to say that tomorrow night is the chili supper for Reese across Dunbarton. And tickets are available at the door. We have 5 different types of chili that's going to be served, including vegetarian, vegan chili. And we'll also have cornbread and pies, cakes, and cookies for dessert. Capital Wells furnishing the water for all our tea and drinks. So the community's involved, and we'd like to have you come out. We picked up all the wreaths today.
Very good. What time do the doors open again?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
5
And-
o'clock, tickets available at the door till 7:30.
So
And
Or
that's-
5:30 to 7, excuse me,
5:30 to
5:30 to 7.
Is that on Saturday or on?
It's on
tomorrow?
Friday.
Tomorrow night, okay.
Friday, tomorrow night, and then Saturday morning at 9 AM, we'll be out here at Caleb's statue, and General John Stark is gonna place a wreath there, and we'll have a musket salute, and then we'll go to the cemeteries and place the wreaths.
Thank you for the update.
What time Saturday?
9 AM. And we do, Capone was supposed to, was gonna try to furnish trucks for us to haul the wreaths. We don't have them because of their insurance, will not let anybody else to drive their vehicles except employees, and they couldn't get anybody to come, so. We do need a pickup to take up to the East Cemetery, and possibly to Page's Corner also. There's like 33 for Page's and 18 for East Cemetery.
Do we know how long we're using the town transfer for that?
Gary, I'm sure will do it.
Okay.
Pick up. Check with Gary before
Oh,
we leave.
okay.
I think he can drive. If he can't, I can drive it,
Okay.
okay?
Well, I just wanted to let you know, I was up in northern Maine last week, right where they took off with the wreaths
Oh, yeah.
across America, and watched the convoy of police department agencies and the tractor trailers. And it was quite a convoy, the whole township, all the way down through Sullivan and Ellsworth, they all line the sides of the road. It's quite a sight. I didn't realize it was that big, to tell you the
Oh,
truth.
they're in all 50 states now, all the national cemeteries, but what I'm trying to do is to get it, local here, and.
Yeah, people line the streets up. I mean, I think Walmart, I saw 7 or 9 tractor trailers, but almost every company out there, the major companies have big tractor trailers all
Yeah,
posted up with it. All the police departments from that area in Maine,
They're going on the way
the
to
whole,
Arlington.
all the way across the street, yeah.
and they're running commercials, a little 15-second commercial on Fox News I saw, and several other networks, so.
It's a lot bigger than I thought.
Yeah, oh, yeah, it's huge. It became a 501c3 in, I think, '04. And that, so it's just growing from there to all 50 states now. I had some money to turn in, and I don't see it on the agenda.
Yeah, from the previous week, right?
Yeah,
It was accepted last week.
no, remember I brought you some in Tuesday.
I thought you said to hold off and get all the remainder funds, cause
Oh,
I put some in the box.
Oh, okay.
I put some more in the box.
Yeah, I got that, thank you.
Yeah, okay.
All right, thank you.
We'll see you next week then.
Yep.
Thanks.
Good work. For the public comment, sir? You good?
We're on the agenda.
Yeah,
They're on the
yeah.
agenda, yeah.
Chief? No.
Chris Rumwood, the only thing, we're finalizing the job descriptions. Chief and I have been going over those, should probably have those maybe in the next week or 2 at most. We wanna get them done before the first of the year, just check that off the list.
Okay, great. Okay, I wanna bring it back to the board. And, I didn't, I was in error when I first started the meeting. I didn't acknowledge that all 3 selectmen in person. You were here, and Pat, the administrator, was here, and Leo Martell was doing the recording. I just wanted to acknowledge that. Well, gravel, you know it is. Okay.
Just keeping you calm.
Hey, you gotta be calm. All right, we're gonna go right into, this is the budget review season, and we're gonna have the old home day budget presentation. Come on up, gentlemen.
In the front, 5 minutes.
We serve an old home day.
It's chilly out there tonight, the wind is, hopefully dies down later.
It's not cold here too.
Yeah, it's really tomorrow night.
So the report I provided for the board tonight does not have your number, so you're gonna present that or give me that number tonight?
Yeah.
So, okay.
It's all zeros.
Yeah, the last year we had something like 4,500 as a budget to work with. And,
Yep.
Basically, that's what we needed to do it. So one of the things I'm trying to do, I can't resist, sorry. Trying to do is to add some more depth to the Old Home Day things of interest, particularly for maybe adults. And so I've been trying to look for craftspeople to come in and do demonstrations. And I have Dave Emerson from Canterbury comes down, does this woodworking for kids, and it was pretty popular. And I had somebody for spinning and et cetera. And what I really wanted was somebody doing blacksmithing, but it turns out that it's kind of competitive, and you have to give people a little incentive,
Oh,
like $100 to cover their cost of travel, materials, and things like that. Otherwise, they get bid by some other town and they're not available. So what I'm actually looking for is if we could get a 500 increment increase in the money we have, from 4,500 to 5,000, that would give me a budget to work with to try to get some of these guys to actually show up.
Okay.
Can I just state for the record that even though they expended the 4239, they do collect fees for cable, for vendors, and they collected, I didn't bring the report, was it $420? And that just lapses into the general fund, so that's, is there to help them if they have more, if they wanna reach out and expend that money
Well,
purposely
if
for
the
that.
problem is we don't have any way to retain it, because by the time we get the money, I mean, I have to make commitments in January and February to people.
Right,
And if I could carry it over, you know, from 2017 to 2018, then that would be great. But I think with the current accounting system, I can't actually
right.
carry that money forward.
And there, we start to plan more in February and March, you know, get down serious, lead time for exhibitors and vendors. You don't really know who's gonna show up until you get to March and whatnot. And so we wind up, having expenses that we only find out about after the money's gone back into the town. So in the future, if the town could hang on to that for us for coming years. This year's got kind of.
I have to check with the RSA and see if we have to.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
And so in one way, it's easier that that money just goes in and then we pick up an extra 500.
What's the date, the pencil date for it? this year?
August 18th.
This year?
That's Saturday. Couldn't remember if it's 18 or 19.
what was that date again? Couldn't get back here.
August 18th,
Thank you.
2018, Saturday.
Does this encumber any fireworks or anything?
No, fireworks have been pretty well dropped, and it's my understanding now there's really no practical launch site anymore. They had launched from our back pasture, but they got into a problem. There's so much fallout in the way of both chemicals and paper and stuff like that, and I'm trying to run an organic operation, but it just messed up the whole thing, and so I realized I couldn't reasonably do that.
Yeah.
And I think around here there are too many houses, they can't get the necessary setback.
Also.
And I
also
think
the-
2 years or 3 years in a row, it was a disaster in terms of timing because of rain, clouds, all that kind of stuff. So it looks like I'd rather put the focus on what goes on during the day in terms of the activities that people.
You guys have getting any feedback about the fireworks missing?
I haven't heard anything in the office. And that came as a recommendation from the recreation committee, not these individuals.
I thought it was a great day. The weather was wonderful this year.
Oh, yeah, no, it was a nice day.
August worked out a lot better for us. We had visitors in from other towns all over the state too.
Maybe we should post it on Hot Topics early too, or on the
Yeah.
home screen saying save the date.
Save the date, yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it was a good earning day for the garden club too, right? That's one of their big fundraising.
Fair.
Can I also recommend that those table fee revenues that you collect, if rather than say deposit, require the full fee in advance, and if you get that in hand, that's money that you can spend.
So you're
Right.
saying put
Rather-
like a month setback on it, we have to have something,
Yeah, if
we
you
have to have
get,
the fee paid a month
if
prior to the.
you are entitled to that money right up until the day that you, and then if you have added expenses that you wanna apply the revenue to, you can do that as well.
Yeah.
without going through warrant and everything
It
else.
still puts us a little bit out on the limb if I'm trying
And
to.
In January, trying to,
Commit in January and February,
Yeah.
speculating that we're gonna get fees and.
And we have to be a little bit careful on it, because, feedback from some vendors on this area, they were saying, I'm gonna sign up for it, but there's a chance I might get right. And if we push them to say, pay us the whole thing right now, they just got out of discussion. So we would have lost some likely, you know.
okay, I think we got it. Jim, any questions? Okay.
As one separate thing, just to think about, not part of the budget. We had exhibitors and vendors tried to get a hold of us last year, and went to the town website, and they couldn't find a contact for us.
I think we probably, this year we box it off, put it like,
Well,
early on.
it's, when you do the,
Yeah,
if you know, you click on rec committee and then it hops over.
right.
But it would really help if we were,
Identify.
Had your own tab?
yeah, that would,
Okay.
that would be a big help. We ran into a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
Well, Dan can do that, I can ask him to do that.
Yeah, okay,
Actually, that
well,
would probably help, because somebody who wants to get, the last minute information or know what's going on.
And then remind me, and I'll put it on Hot Topics of the home screen, saying for contact information, save the date for contact information, see
Yeah.
tab under committees or something.
yeah, and,
Or do a search, they can do search too, and it'll come up.
yeah.
If they know
but-
the truth.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Sometimes
phones,
it's-
you know,
yeah.
it's,
Okay, we'll
not
work
always there.
with it.
Do you have a time for that? 2 months in advance, 3 months, 4 months
For
in
what?
advance of the Hot Topics notice?
You can put it up day after town meeting when you know you've got your budget to work with.
Okay, it's just, I know that there is often lots of stuff on there, and it rotates.
But for something like
If you didn't wanna
that,
overcrowd
for
it,
something like that, a one
that was
line
all.
across the top in the home center is fine,
That'll do it.
okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Are you guys gonna have the antique cars again this year in the parade?
We're gonna try.
I hope so.
Okay.
There was a little problem last year. with-
Yeah, they were looking for parking, I think,
Yeah,
and they were doing
so
the
we-
demonstration out
There's
here.
been a lot of discussion about that, and broken
Okay.
that move
Yeah.
things around.
Great.
To a better organization the whole
Just,
around.
just briefly, how that all worked out was, we had been asking them in previous months whether they were gonna come and whatnot. We weren't getting a real solid response. And so based on that in the previous year, we put the cornhole toss thing where that would work out well, whereas in the previous year, that had been where the tractors pulled in, the antique
Oh,
cars
yeah.
and whatnot. So when it came today and a whole bunch showed up, we all of a sudden found out that we couldn't fit them down on the pavement here. So we have to work with them until we get to that.
Okay, good
Put
luck.
it this way, we learned something.
Yeah,
There you go.
older for sure, and maybe wiser.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Okay. Next on the hot seat, Chief.
You only have 5 minutes before you open bids.
That's all right.
You have a little run.
You can't open them early, you can open them
I
later.
know, I'm just giving a hard time.
Hey, this is it keeps me honest right here. This one is learning, that's what I'm afraid of.
These are sticks. So
So each one of those packets will contain the budget worksheet that you used to from the other departments. There's another budget worksheet that you do every year. It gives you a long view and spells out what the differences are between what was budgeted last year and what we're proposing for this year.
Okay.
There's a summary of any changes to the budget, that just kind of hit the highlights. And then as a reference, there's a budget narrative that goes in and explains in detail how we arrived at the numbers that we're at. So if you have any questions after the hearing's over, anything you've got to ask, you can, that should tell you about everything you need to know, or should satisfy what you're trying to find out.
This evening, we're not gonna drill down, that's coming.
No, I know.
But today, we just saw, if you could just point out some of the major, I hate to say outliers, but major changes that we should be at least aware of.
Well, if you go right to that budget summary sheet,
It's on the fourth page yet?
yeah, I believe so.
Third page.
It's right before the budget area.
Yep.
That gets a lot of highlights there.
Okay.
Most of the increase we have in the budget is gonna be personnel cost. And you can see what the other, some step increases, there's a 2% COLA, and Chris has been here long enough to get longevity. We'd like to move some money around between the lines and eliminate a couple of the lines that are kind of low dollar numbers. We can consolidate them, it might simplify the budget worksheet quite a bit. So we want to eliminate the crime prevention line, and we'll increase the supplies line by that same number, $350. We want to reduce training by 1,000, increase equipment by 1,000. There's an increase in IMC, $450, and that's going to be an increase for the software support for the
IMC.
MDTs. That's our records management and dispatch
Okay.
software, and they also do the mobile software as well.
Okay.
Under the radio repairs, we've included $4,000 for a vehicle-mounted radio. As you know, it's been kind of an ongoing program. These radios have gone end of life. We replaced the first one several years ago, and what we've been doing is we've been replacing the radios as we upfit the vehicles, as we replace the vehicles. And as we're projecting right now, we're not gonna ask for a vehicle this year or next year, and we don't wanna let the radios get that far behind. So we're asking for $4,000 to replace one of the vehicle-mounted radios this year.
The radios get dated that fast.
Well, they're old. I mean,
Oh,
they're end of life, and they've been end of life for quite a while. The only spare parts we have are the spare radios that we.
Were they transferred from other vehicles, those ones?
Yeah, they were purchased under a grant.
Okay.
Remember what it was?
I don't, but I think that
Before your time.
well, I know that the 2006 Ford Explorer that I drove when I first started, I believe that radio is now in the 2013 Ford Explorer. So unless we can find parts on eBay or utilize the spare parts we have at the station, we're kind of out of luck.
Okay.
So we can't analyze what we have. We've actually had 2 spare radios, and one of them we had to use to replace a radio that.
The donation helps a lot.
Well, that's for the portable radios that the officers carry. Those are going in the light too, some of them. So we need to actually replace some of those, and we're trying to get on a program to do that as well. And you don't see that in the budget, our budget request this year, because the Zolpers were kind enough to donate a radio.
Okay.
So that kept us down there. The other big thing that we did reduce our training pretty significantly. And we did, part of that is due to the fact that there's nobody trained this year. No new employees, so we reduced the field training by 180 hours. And we're also consolidating some of our other training. So you'll see there's a significant decrease in that line as well. Those are the highlights.
So looking at your sheet with your, increases with your 2% and your changes of your step increases, it looks like you did a pretty good job keeping it as level as you could.
We really tried.
Yeah. Which will be appreciated, I'm sure.
Just wanna let you know that most of what you see the work there was Chris Remillard. That was his project this year, and, he did a pretty bang-up job on the budget.
I know it's a hard thing to do to try and keep things, flat or lower, or, you know, drop in some stuff.
Well, look at the last two pages before we jump.
That's a warrant. Different topic.
But still, it's all part of the same pot of money, it's the town taxpayer money.
Hey, Mike,
Yes,
can I ask a question or two before you jump to the warrant article stuff?
Sure.
Curtis, if you don't mind.
again, we're not drilling down, this is.
No, I know, but, just, I heard the term longevity in the crime control poll, and my understanding is, I thought we had a line item under administration for all the longevity for the town people.
Yeah, yeah,
So that'd be double
Comes out of-
counting of it.
it comes out of my line.
Okay,
Oh.
so then we'll eliminate,
I'll get you the correct number and then we can reduce
yeah,
that by.
we can reduce that.
Yep.
So it lowers the,
I didn't realize you had added.
I wasn't sure if you had
number.
changed or something like that, because
Yeah,
otherwise that's a
no, I
double
didn't
counting.
realize, when you mentioned it, I didn't realize there was a number added there.
That was my fault, sorry.
That's okay.
no, it's, thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
Also, I got another question on the radios. I know with the states now opting out of the national program and going with their own, how's the radio, changing the radio is gonna work with the interoperability between the state and national programs? Or would you,
I think, I think it's too early to tell at this point, but you're right, it could have a major impact. My take on, I'm concerned about it is the governor, with all due respect to the governor, he picked a company who has no experience in establishing a network.
you're preaching the choir, I
Okay,
understand.
and so I think, I'm concerned that, I don't think it may not get off the ground.
Right.
And so I don't wanna, cry that the sky is falling. I think the chief has a good plan, but that's a potential for incurred cost down the road, if it gets off the ground.
Right.
Because the company has, as I said, no experience in this field at all.
Not that I don't disagree with, upgrading the radios and such like that, but I didn't know if we might be, shooting ourselves in the foot, getting a new radio now, and then 6 months later, all of a sudden you have to get all new radios because of a new change. That's just throwing it out there. That's a question.
But the thing is, I'd like to think that if the state's gonna require us to get new radios, they're gonna fund that.
Oh, jeez.
You're a silly man, you. Silly man.
I know,
So keen on.
too keen on it.
I know. They go skinny guard, damn it.
Okay, let's get back on track here. I'm sorry, G, go
No,
ahead.
thank you.
Speaking of consolidating lines, one of the lines we have here is the, physical plant.
Okay.
And there's $450 there, I've had for many years. And basically, that money is used to, do the yearly inspection on the elevator.
And that's all?
That's what it's used for, the yearly inspection on the elevators. Every third or fifth year, I don't remember, they actually come in and do a weight test, they put, I don't know, pound in there and actually test the weight.
Okay.
I didn't know if that was something you wanted to move over to the town side with the rest of the maintenance, or.
I thought we did last year.
I don't recall, did we?
I think so.
I think it might have been mentioned that we should move it into the building and maintenance account. Do
Pretty
you
sure we
know
did.
why it went up to 623 for an actual expenditure?
For this year,
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, I'd have to look at the, something that we did might have gotten charged to that line.
Okay. Oh,
Or that, it
I'll
could
do
be,
a detail.
you know what, this year they did the weights, so it could be the weights, and they also, there's a fee for the state form, for the state.
Is it required yearly?
It's the yearly thing.
it's just like our, fire extinguishers and our other emergency items that we have to budget within the building and maintenance.
Boiler inspections, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
So usually it's just an inspection, and then every 3 or 5 years, they actually put weights on it, they go, just like,
That's a good point. This is just infrastructure for the building. So noted. We can do
Yeah.
that.
so we'll be wrong.
Just just, we need you to just confirm that, chief,
What's
just
that?
confirm that amount, 620 something, so if we're gonna put a placeholder for that.
Okay.
So we can, if we do move the building and maintenance, we'll put it to the appropriate amount in it.
What was the price on that one we're gonna do under the your budget, which dollar amount was that?
That would come under the building maintenance.
No.
General government building maintenance.
It was in the other one for step increase.
Oh,
Longevity.
it's called longevity, so it's actually listed on the fourth page, the one that gives it the detail of crime control full-time, and I'll reduce the, salary, total salary by 400 under Chris Remillard, and move that 400 into the longevity account.
All right. It's nice to see the graph of all those years, especially, you know, you can compare it and watch it and see how it's changed through the years.
Gives you a long view.
Yep. You know, it just goes to show the work this year as well. You know, you can see some substantial increases through the other years.
The only thing is, I like the for semantics, change secretary, get rid of the word secretary. I thought it was just a detective on, you have on secretary slash detective.
Well, we left that there in case that, would they ever filled that position
Okay.
for,
Because that's what they pulled out of their budget, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, you guys are sharing that secretarial work amongst your force.
Yeah, we
Right.
wanted to add the person, so we had to kind of cannibalize ourselves a little bit to do that.
Right. But you also have it listed with the detective too. You have the detective on the same line.
well, if you look at the,
Okay, which one are we talking about? Mine?
your manual breakdown sheet that shows
This one?
the
Oh, yeah, I
history of
can
the
make
year, that's probably the old description,
Oh, okay, what you see where it's shaded, that was the secretary,
yeah.
and where it's not shaded,
Yes, yes,
that's
yes.
the
Ah.
detective. So that,
Perfect.
that kind of
Okay.
illustrates why.
Yep, no, that's self-explanatory now, you mentioned shading.
Ah,
Incognito, I love it. Understood, okay, great. You see that? How shaded? Yeah, you didn't notice that?
I was looking at the dark shade down here further to the network. Like you didn't do it dark enough.
Well, that line didn't exist for those two budgets. We added that to kind of, it was commingled with some other things and it was getting confusing, so at least you know exactly what you're spending on that network hosting.
Gotcha. Perfect. Okay. Any further questions?
None of that section, but no, I think that's fine.
Okay,
So you all set on the
Yeah, you
budget?
did a great job breaking that down, so
Yep.
very readable.
and the highlight sheet is great.
Okay, excellent. So now you wanna move on to the warrant?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
We have a visual aid, you mind if I put it on the whiteboard?
No,
Is that
that's
okay?
great.
Just with some numbers.
so all we have for the warrant is this,
I have that, and then there's a couple of
Good luck.
pages of
Good luck.
explanations.
oh, there is, okay.
Yeah, it's just a draft warrant.
I'm here by myself, I don't have help, and I don't have many visual aids.
Look at that, stick right up.
Nothing too fancy, but.
I need a phone picture of that, so that I could.
Actually, it's on this sheet that you see here.
Oh, that's.
It's
the
all
one.
broken down there. The matters
I
law
got it,
method.
I got it. So,
So what's yours?
Okay. We hired a part-time officer, Brian Tyler, and he's turned out to be, he's a really good candidate, a good mix, good match for the town. His age, his demeanor, his background, and we would really like to get him full-time. Since we gave him his break into law enforcement, and since then he's been getting on. He's been kind of being groomed by other agencies that would like to hire him, and I think he's got the potential here to be a good long-term hire for the town of Dunbarton. So we came up with this plan, and again, we cannibalized ourselves to get Laura Caterbrigga, and the plan is basically to do the same thing here. We broke down the total cost of what it would be to hire a new person. Brian is currently on his wife's insurance, the job he has now. He's a manager of an HVAC company. He manages his staff and projects and stuff, so he's got a very responsible position. So if we did hire him, he would take the stipend, that would reduce the cost of actually bringing on board fairly substantially. So our plan would be to begin him in time, about a week prior to the August Academy 2018, and we would pay him the step 1 patrolman and put him through the academy. As soon as he graduates the academy, there's no need to do any field training. He's already out there working. He's already received all of that training, so we can immediately deploy him on the road. So the cost for the town, additional cost for 2018 would be, what, about $24,500, $24,548, what we came up with. Now 2019, we would have to bear the entire cost of an additional officer. So what we're proposing to do is to absorb a good portion of that additional cost by reducing our part-time hours. When I came here in 2012, our part-time staff worked 2 shifts per week. We worked Saturday and Sunday day shift. I was able to convince the board to fund us a little stronger, and we started adding additional shifts on weekend nights, Friday and Saturday nights, when things were really busy.
Mm-hmm.
We added those additional shifts, so we increased from 2 shifts per week to 4 shifts per week, and that's been pretty much where we've stood, you know, up to this point. By adding this additional full-time person, we would be taking a step back. We would still maintain some shifts, but what we do is we would staff Friday
nights, and then every other Sunday.
and every other Sunday. What that does is it gives us some evening shifts and some day shifts. It allows our cadre of part-timers to remain current and to remain perishable skill. If somebody comes in and if they don't work periodically, the policing becomes something that you lose. So that would allow us to keep our part-time staff. Our part-time staff is going to be reduced. We would hire one of them with that proposal. We have another guy that we hired he's a younger guy, and he's a really excellent candidate, and he's going to be picked up someplace. He's going to be a star wherever he goes. He's a really, really sharp kid. I don't expect that he's going to be here an awful lot longer, in the term of years. So the reduction itself wouldn't take place until 2019, the 2019 budget. So,
Can you explain the difference between the stipend amount up there and the total to me? The warrant article you showed, I know we're looking at the warrant article, it says 24, but then you've got the wages of 47.
So the wages by itself is 47,216, and then the total includes New Hampshire retirement, healthcare, disability, FICA.
In what year is that?
That would be
The 2019 full year?
that's a full year cost.
Right, okay.
So with Brian, what's unique to him is that he would be willing to take the stipend right off the bat, so that 67,209 is a full year cost. So prorating that for an August academy start date, that's where we got the 24,528, which is with him taking the healthcare stipend. And then the 2019 cost, again, the 67,209 is the full year with the stipend, but with reducing our part-time hours, the 2019 total comes to 48,093 for wages and benefits. So really, with, like the chief said, cannibalizing our part-time budget, we're able to absorb a significant portion of that new full-time position.
So based on this plan as it stands today, you see the increase from a current budget with the warrant would be at 24,528, and in 2019, we would be looking to increase our budget by 23,545 over the budget as it exists, as it would exist if you adopted it as we're proposing it with the warrant.
And the idea with the August, excuse me, the August start date was to try and spread this cost impact over 2 years. And the thing that's unique with this candidate is that even though he would have to go to the academy, it's 4 months long, he's already equipped. He's already hired, which takes a significant amount of time. We went through a lot of candidates before we came to him. He's already equipped with uniforms and equipment. He's already field trained, so when he graduates the academy, which would be late December, he would start in January right off the bat. There wouldn't be a need for any additional training or anything like that. And
How many hours of that, how much additional training do you usually give a new candidate?
I mean,
Ballpark,
part-time, I'd say anywhere between 150 and 200.
hours?
Yeah, and a full-time would be more than that, most likely.
Okay, so it's an investment we already sunk.
We've already made a sigligent investment.
And what we've seen, the work product that this guy is putting out, being a part-timer, is really fabulous. He's a good quality candidate, and I really would like to hire him. He'd definitely be an asset to the department. And part of this is I'm looking down the road, and I've got probably gonna retire in about 4 more years. I've got 4 years left on my contract, and I'll be 62 then. So that's probably a good likelihood that that'll be the time that I would step out. And what it would leave you, it would leave the police department in pretty good shape as far as having a really good staff, and a staff that's well fitted to Dunbarton, to the type of policing you do in Dunbarton. Usually you hire new people, and they want to be crime fighters, and they're attracted to some of the larger cities and towns where they're going to get more criminal action. In Dunbarton here, as you know, we're more service oriented. We do have plenty of crime fighting to do, but a lot of what we do is service. And you want a person who can have those kind of interactions with people, and that personal policing that the people here have grown to expect and really deserve.
Yep.
And he's able to deliver that. So that's why it's important to me to get this guy on board. If we miss this opportunity, somebody else is going to grab him, and they're going to get a great candidate.
Any other retirements anticipated in the next 4 or 5 years?
As far as the full-timers go, it would be me. The part-timers are the three people who work the most hours. 2 of them are 60, and 1 of them is turning 50 this year. So that'll kind of give you an idea. 2 of them are in their 60s, their early 60s, and 1 of them is turning 50. So that'll kind of give you an idea of where our most active people are.
Thank you. Gentlemen, questions?
No, I think it's a good breakdown that you did of it. I just think that, the stipend part might be something you wanna focus on to explain, especially if this goes in front of the voters, only because a lot of our voters might not be aware of, why that stipend's reducing it, because a lot of people think of the stipend as, something extra that somebody gets, so.
It's actually a cost
I think
reduction.
explaining that to the voters that's why I asked you guys to point it out, because I think it might help them.
Our plan is to be very public with this, and to make sure that the details are out there in the light of day, so that everybody understands what we're trying to do and what they would be voting for, and to kind of ward off any rumors that aren't correct.
Right.
You know, we wanna make sure people can make a very well-informed decision when they decide.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? This additional person, would that be full-time coverage on the weekends, or are we all doing all full-timers during the week, or I don't know how
And
that.
they said it would be Friday nights and Sunday evenings, every other Sunday.
Those would, go ahead.
Those would be the part-time shifts that we retain.
Okay.
No, our full-timers right now work a rotating schedule. One of them works Tuesday through Friday, the other one works Friday through Sunday. So no, it would be we would have a void, reducing those part-time hours, we would have voids on the weekends that would be covered by this new full-time patrolman. So the weekend shifts would be actually shared. We've come up with a few schedule templates, and it's something we would still need to work on, but kind of a patrolman 1, patrolman 2, patrolman 3 with a rotating schedule, and they would all work weekends at one point or another.
And the manning really gives us the flexibility. If we run into a problem with filling shifts, we can juggle things and be able to cover some of those other shifts. Those other the Sunday and the other evening shift there with the manning that we would have.
You did that based on a 40-hour week?
Yes. Yeah. 10-hour shifts. We used to work 12s, and what we kind of found is working the 4 and 3 is really good for kind of a work health balance, and it gives the guys an opportunity to kind of recoup.
Yeah.
But for what it's worth, I mean, we've invested a significant amount of time finding Brian, putting him through a very rigorous hiring process. He did a PT test, he did a polygraph, a background, a psych, and a medical. Passed everything. We invested 200 hours worth of wages for the part-time academy, plus his field training, plus we've also sent him to defensive tactics instructor school. He likes to do MMA fighting, so that was a strength that we wanted to bolster on. And we've sent them to some field sobriety testing training as well. So, from an agency standpoint, we've already spent a lot of money and invested a lot of money in him training-wise.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
When you first hired him as part-time, was he in school or something, or what led you to hire him on a part-time level, not pursue the full-time?
Well, at the time, we were trying to increase our part-time staff, and we didn't have any full-time positions at the time.
You just lucked out with a good part-time
we
choice.
really lucked out.
Okay.
If I may speak candidly, I've been part of the hiring process for the last, I think, 5 employees or 6 employees here at Dunbarton PD, and Brian Tyler is a stellar officer. He has longevity with the town. He's the kind of person you want working here in town, and he's the kind of person that we need to retain, because it costs a lot of money to not only run someone through a hiring process, but then to equip them, to train them, and if we lose him, that's a lot of money that is going to be out the window. And then the other issue is going to be, he already works a lot of part-time shifts, so that's going to leave a wide gap in being able to fill some of the shifts that we have now.
But you're gonna offset the shifts with him being on as full-time. His full-time hours would go to offset some of the part-time
Absolutely,
shifts.
yes. Yeah, and that's how we're able to cannibalize so much of the part-time crime control in 2019.
It's a pretty significant reduction from our current part-time hours. I mean, it's more than $20,000 reduction.
What you haven't delineated here at all, and I'm gonna just say it again, the need. You have to delineate the need. And the thing is, all you've done is said, yes, I want an employee, which is all great. And the only need I've identified by sitting and talking with you is your retirement chief. I mean, right now, we have an opportunity to grab someone, so in 4 years, we're not stuck training someone all over again. And if we hire, say, a new chief from within, great. But that's the only need I see that's on the table right now. So what you have to do is really delineate the need. Why do we need to go from a part-timer to a full-timer? One is we don't wanna lose this person as a potential hire down the road, it's 4 years down the road. It's an investment, by keeping a good person, it's an investment. But again, where is the need for Dunbarton to go from a part-timer to a full-timer? That has not been addressed, and I think the voters are gonna demand
Okay,
that.
we can explain that,
Okay,
yeah.
I just give you a heads up, I think it's only fair to the voters that,
Absolutely.
again, you gotta have the need.
Sure.
And, which, only one need here is your retirement, your pending retirement, and I see that as a big need. And because we wanna make sure we get a staff, someone is, if not better than you. And that's called succession planning, and I love that. Okay, I'm done with questions, gentlemen.
No, I think you guys have broken it down well, I understand it. I do appreciate the fact that you're reducing those part-time hours to try and offset that, for the taxpayers. I think that's gonna be an important part of it. As you know, anytime you try and bring a full-timer in over a part-timer, it's a stumbling block, but I as well would like to be prepared in this town, so that when we lose a chief, that we can, maybe hire from within and keep that balance going with somebody that our town's comfortable with, and not bring somebody in and take a chance of making that whole department not function well. So I think that, looking at it over a longer period of time and doing steps like this make a lot more sense than trying to do it all in the year that you're leaving or the year before you're leaving. And so I think that that's gonna go a long way if it's explained properly to the taxpayers and,
And I'd say 4 years is gonna go by fast.
So the 6 is going by fast, I can't believe we've been here this long.
Did you know if that grant is gonna be offered again next year, or weren't we sure yet at this time?
I don't know. I don't know, they may offer it again,
Right.
and if
You know,
they do, there's no
it's put a little
guarantees.
asterisk, we will pursue any grants that become available.
I'm a grant writer, and I've been pursuing tons of grants, as many as I can, to help the agency. And the other thing too, I don't know if you've seen, but it might be worth mentioning that there's proposed legislation where the state would pick up, is it 15% of retirement, NHRS retirement?
There's just a large article that just came out, I haven't had a chance to read it, but I did not read that.
That bill has been, suggested to inexpedient to legislate,
Oh, it has?
yes.
In other words, dead.
The only bill they've retained that for 2018 session is the retirement. They can put part-timers that worked for the state or a town or something like that as to become a retiree, they can only work 1,040 hours
Yeah,
in a
that I
year.
read, yep.
And if they take and go
So,
over.
no, I think you guys did a good job breaking this budget down, so we'll take a closer look at it, but appreciate your time doing it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna put mine in the
You
binder.
can keep that out.
You sure?
Yeah.
You're such a kind work, sir, come on up.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
What do you wanna do? I was thinking we could open, we have to do the 7:30, we're a little behind the time, we have to open the, for the start break.
Yeah, we're early.
Yeah, actually,
It's 8 o'clock here.
whatever you wanna do.
That's okay.
It's all good with me.
Bids?
Bids, I think we should go ahead and do bids since we're
Yeah,
saying.
let's-
That's how we have it on here.
All right.
Open
The
bids.
anticipation's been killing me. To be honest with you today.
I'm no engineer,
Yeah.
and I have 2 construction advisors left and right of me, and you're gonna be the 3rd advisor as we have questions.
We'll see how it comes out here. We'll go from there.
Looks like, how many bids total, Lee?
5,
5 bids.
I'm glad we got some participation.
yep.
Makes me feel a little better.
For the record, just to let the public know what we're doing, we get 5 bids for the installation of the bridge we bought, for
Bridge nowhere.
Bridge North, for the Stark Bridge. And we're opening the bids now, and we have a little cheat sheet, so we can make some notes. Everyone's got a copy of it. The companies are delineated on the sheet.
I got the winning bid.
Well, that doesn't sound right.
Okay.
You all get one though?
Let's rip it.
Where's the letter opener?
Okay, go right down to the, go right down to the cost.
Yeah. Right to the bottom.
So we're gonna get some names
You
here
wanna
first.
start with advance, whoever's gonna.
Who's got advanced?
I have it.
Okay. What's,
Advanced excavating and paving.
yep. Alright. You got the bottom line cost there, just out of curiosity? Maximum
Do
project.
you wanna do total project, looks
Yeah.
like 242,798.
Okay,
242,798. You wanna do the breakdowns above them, starting at the top?
yeah, you can.
Item number one, site prep and installation is 69,276. Item number two, installation of 2 sheet piled cofferlings, excavation and prep of footings is 124,916. And setting of bridge, waterproofing, backfilling, grading, furrow and cleanup is 48,606. And the grand total of 242,798. It says a 4-week time frame,
4 weeks?
yeah, with a mid-January start date, very fast. So I'm gonna put down there summary, mid-January, 4 weeks. That seems pretty fast.
Yep.
And they have a large job reference and recent job list. It looks like there's close to 50 jobs on here.
Okay,
And then also a copy of their insurance.
very good. Okay,
Okay, so that's that one.
alright, I'm gonna start out talking about, New England infrastructure. Okay? That's the third one down.
Okay, New England,
I'm gonna give you the breakdown of the three.
okay.
Number one was 150K. Number two was 100K. And number three was 35K. Total bid price was 285K. Schedule to be determined based upon weather.
How's the subtotal different than those?
So, it's the same thing, 285.
Oh, that's okay.
And then it's, they're asking 3 months, 3 months time to complete. And, but they're looking at the weather as a limiting factor.
3 months' time?
3 months to complete for the, approximately 3 months.
What's the start time, Mike?
To be determined, dependent upon the weather.
To be determined, okay.
And again, pages and pages of references, bridges everywhere. And I'm sure they, oh my God, they have lots of bridges.
285.
And I would say there's no, I'm not worried about, there's no insurance certificate, but I'm sure there's one with the company. It's a huge company. Okay, Bob, you're up.
Well, I'm trying to read, can you read his writing?
Yeah,
Can you?
yeah,
He's a doctor, of course he can.
I don't.
You can just read it item number one.
yeah, just go by 1, 2, and 3.
It's the company first.
The company is, Bob, which one do you have?
I've got cold.
Code number 2.
Okay.
What is it?
Number one is 20,000. Number two is 100,000. Second. Number three is 98,000. And actually, number three, he's got 98,000 and 30,950. which gives you a total of $248,950.
Can you say that second part again,
Right here, it's got
30,000?
30,950 added to that, 988, 248,950 total. Yep.
Budget
He's
busted,
got plenty of
Lead time,
references.
lead time.
Hang on a
It's,
second. Is it only this one?
yeah, it should be right here.
So,
Here, the writing is a little more difficult. Looks like, February 5th, and the final conditions, May 1st, between February 5th and May 1st. Substantial completion is April 15th. So Feb. 5th, April 15th is midway, I believe, and final completion is May 1st. References. They have a certificate of insurance. Okay,
get a couple more for us to open, right?
yeah, we do. Two more.
I got Daniel's, I got the fourth one down, so.
Okay, you're up next one, Howard.
This was a short lead time to get this much interest, I think it was very good.
Yeah, well, these guys do this stuff, you know what I mean? The time of year stuff.
See attached values, their total, we'll start with their total,
What's the
I've got Neil, the next one down.
Okay,
Daniels.
246,400 is the total. And he's got schedule values here in the back, so,
I guess he breaks down a little differently.
yeah, his breakdowns don't follow the standard, but he does have his total in there. He shows a breakdown of all his lists of labor rates and his markup on the subs. And his bond. Yeah, so it looks like we're gonna go with his total, cause he's got it broken down much
Okay,
larger than the rest. Let me look and see if I can find a
start.
lead time, yeah. Six weeks for construction, assuming spring start. Spring start in 6 weeks.
When the roads become available.
Okay.
All right, I have the last one, which is, Michael Hanson Construction Limited. Okay, he's at 184, K total, and he breaks it down by, number one, which is 48K. Coffer Dam and dewatering was 52K, number two. Insulation grading, 84K,
How much was it?
84 for the last.
Okay.
And RFP, just he puts a little asterisk, RFP based upon reusing gravel on site and stone on site. A start date of 4 months, just say 4 months per RFP. And you can do it in 4 months, whenever he starts.
Gravel and stone,
He said, once based upon using gravel and stone on site.
class B and C, what stones on site?
There's when you tear, there's all sorts of debris from their old bridge, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like riprap or whatever.
This is, he has stuff if required, he didn't put this in there, but he just puts if required, he has trucking, stone if needed, and backfill gravel if needed. He's got prices per hour for that, per item,
Yes.
that's not included in the subtotal.
Yeah, so that can't, So that's not an equal bid.
No,
Yeah, it's kind of a vague thing.
yep,
Well, I'm looking at, you know, if there's no stone on site other than the riprap
Yeah.
that's existing in the gravel, that's a huge amount in
It could
this
be.
project.
Yeah, well, not a huge amount, but it's a variable we don't really know.
he's just quoting, $20 per yard for backfill.
Could be, depending on where they get it or how they
Well,
truck it.
what's he got there?
$20 per yard for backfill,
Yeah.
stone, class B and C, $40 per yard, and trucking, $85, it must be per trip.
I would, or an hour or something.
Hour, yeah.
Yeah.
Or so, no, you're right. He's got some,
So some hidden costs in that one.
well, there could be. They could be bumping him up closer to the others.
Well, we got,
Can I take a look at that?
absolutely, yeah, this goes with it. We've got 3 well within the ballpark.
I'm very surprised it came in to be this much. But the sheeting, I think, drove it up the most.
The coffer, you mean?
Yeah, the steel sheeting, 'cause they all seem to be referencing that.
That brought it up 100, it looks like almost 100 on most of them,
Yeah.
100 and a quarter.
Yeah.
So, and you had prices around 70, so.
Well,
For
a
just for the
quick
rentals,
number
so-
over the phone to a
60
guy,
70.
hey, listen, this is not a real true.
That was just for the rental, the little labor.
Well, yeah, no, and they have to do, there's gotta be a certain amount of engineering that has to be done when they drive the sheets now.
Yep.
They don't just pull them out and drive them in because of this. And I don't know if these guys got their own sheets or they hire a sheeting company or whatever. I was kinda, the guy Hanson there, I was kinda hot on that when we got the first number, but.
Yeah, his number's low, but he doesn't include any extra materials.
There's not a lot of materials gonna need,
I
but,
was gonna say, you're talking about a little over $62,000 difference. That's an awful lot of trucking.
he does understand the whole concept of it, he actually builds wooden bridges and puts them in.
Okay.
And I've seen a couple he's done since this all came down, but anyway, it doesn't make any difference. I mean, I wish he had kinda did a complete estimate. You know what I mean?
Well, we could send this back to him and ask him to complete that portion of it.
I would like to.
The grading is on your plan.
Yeah, some of those numbers, that part of it, I'm a little surprised at, because that's part of it's pretty, it's no paving, it's just, whatever. I did tell them all the same thing, that any of the excess material or rubble, we have a pit right up the street, it all could be left there, they don't have to haul it away anywhere. We can deal with it, just to make it a little simpler. Yeah, I wish we could,
So his first breakdown's existing bridge removal and disposal was the 48 we gave. Cofferdam installation and dewatering was 52. Precast installation, backfill and grading. Paid based on reusing gravel and stone on site, so yeah. That number, if he could firm up that gravel and stone.
You must have some engineered drawings that show.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah, he has a complete
fill.
Yeah,
Well,
this
that's
is-
what I'm saying, it shows the fill.
I guess
So
the
it
question
should
would
be-
be to ask him,
He should be
figure on
able-
hauling it in.
Yeah,
The only outlier is not changing the bid, we have the bid,
Yeah.
it's just the materials, they have a better estimate of the materials,
Yeah.
that's what we need.
Mm.
Because, the bid's out, he can't change his, we're not gonna allow him to
No.
change his bid, we just need a clarification of materials, am I reading it correctly?
Well, the material portion's left out of his, so if he just fills in that portion of his bid to give it a new total, the other amounts can't change,
Right.
obviously, so. He just needs to fill in the stone and the sand or gravel.
Now, okay, Jeff, you seen the prices?
Yeah.
Talk to us.
Like I said, it's way more than I anticipated.
Well, let's talk about what you have in your budget for this.
Well, basically what we have left in the budget's gonna pay off the structure.
And what about that additional 85 that we got?
We still have that, and I would figure we earmark for that
That's what I
project,
was thinking too.
this
so-
project. We still, Rena and I have talked about this at great length, and if I've got something wrong,
No.
don't hesitate
Can
to
I
tell
go,
me.
while you talk, I'm gonna look at that spreadsheet, I should have brought it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
The actual warrant article we took money out of it for, soil test, engineering, permitting, all that, and the deposit on the concrete structure. And I believe there's $24,000 left in that particular item. So if we were to just use a round number at $250,000, right? You take the 85 and the 24, add those two together, we're at what, 110?
I was just guessing at 85, is that fairly accurate, do you guys remember?
Yeah, it was about right.
Yeah, that's what I'm,
Yeah,
we have not touched that. So,
And then how much you got left in your budget that you're willing to use?
Well, we would use all of that to pay the structure off, the balance on the structure.
I thought the 24 was gonna,
No, the total for the rest of the cost of that structure is like 52.
We basically bring your budget to zero for the
Yeah,
remainder of this year.
Yeah.
So we start again next
We'd start,
January first.
yeah, exactly.
What, starting January first, how much could you take out of your budget?
Well,
What would you defer?
we could take enough to cover the whole rest of the cost of it. We would just scale back the rest of our paving and projects.
We're talking.
I don't wanna go before the townspeople asking for it.
That's what.
I really don't.
I think that's
we
between
can-
you and I think that's probably a
We can
better
make
place
it
to
work.
go, yeah.
And we have no choice, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, this whole thing has just ended up being
well,
a
it's been
huge
on the back
fiasco.
burner now for years, and I think there's certain
Oh, yeah.
residents that, think it should be done, and think it deserves to be done.
Oh, and I have no problem with that. And from the day we started this, in the estimate, I got the paperwork on it, I can show you what it was. For a structure that we kind of guessed at, it would be adequate.
What road would you defer for the upcoming year that was maybe on the pipeline?
Well, what I would do is I would still ask, like we have been, for the 100,000 for paving like we do. Keep
Right.
everything on that status quo, but that would finish Grapevine Road, but it would just put off really doing any other stuff.
You're talking about about 140K.
Yeah.
What's that, the cap on Grapevine?
Yeah, the last coat.
Cause it's all done.
Yep, all we have to do is put a finish coat on it.
And would it hurt to let that finish coat go a year, Jeff, or?
Well, I think we should finish it and be done. But I mean, that's, if we're asking for the 100,000 and we get that, which is kind of, you never know, nothing's a guarantee. But I really don't wanna go and ask for anybody for
So
any
it looks like
more
we
money
get
or
about,
something.
from this, we get about 110 with the 85 and
Right, I'm subtracting about,
28.
so I'm coming up with, and I use about 250.
Yeah.
Okay, can I just explain first though, did you explain to them that you would pick up the cost for the bridge outstanding?
For the structure, yes.
So in the expense column, we had the engineering, which cost 10,000, then we had to put a 30% deposit, which was 22,638. We still owe them for that cast 52,824.
Right.
And the board had said if there's any excess, he would take it out of his budget.
Right.
And that's what he's proposing to do with this year's budget.
Right, with this year's budget, you would pay
Yes.
off the bridge.
Pay
So
off
then-
the bridge.
So then that would leave 24,401 in the warrant that lapses at the end of 2019, plus the 85 that he has here.
Well, I thought the warrant balance is 28,423.
That's an overdraw if and when we pay.
That's not a true number, that's if,
Go one up. We've
I
only
see that
paid,
one up, but how come, what's the 28 to?
that's if we pay that $52,000 balance that we still owe on the bridge. So right now, we can either
Which is what Jeff's doing. Walk me through how you get the 24.
it's basically all that is an accounting thing.
right.
Well, I
Right
know,
now-
but the
right
accounting
now-
number should match up.
The warrant balance right now is 24,401. That is the balance that we have with all the expenses with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, first 6, 7 lines.
Okay, so what's the parentheses with the 28,423 into 4?
That's the negative if we pay the balance that we owe them 70% on. They're holding that bridge for us, we still owe them $52,000.
So you're taking the 24 plus the 28.
Correct.
It's kind of a matter, it's a shell game, doesn't.
Yeah, I just wanted to know where
Yeah,
it came
it's really got nothing to do with anything.
But it would
except for-
zero you off for the year essentially.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
essentially. I mean, we have enough money to finish doing snow plowing.
Oh, yeah.
We're not down to nothing. We, in anticipation of what was going on here, came back on doing some other projects to all the dust, because we knew there was something gonna be up with us, regardless of whether we subbed the thing out. Again, I never dreamed that the thing would end up being this huge a thing. But it's what it is what it is, and we gotta finish it.
I
Okay,
will
so,
say that, you know, 4 of them bids are right
Yeah, that's what I mean, so
closer than,
my gut feeling with that is they're pretty accurate, right? Wouldn't you think that?
I would think that they are.
Yeah, I don't think there's somebody that's really like, hey, I'm just throwing this out there, see if it sticks if I get the job, right?
Yeah, and I do like the, you know, myself, I'm looking at this thinking that, you know, it'd be nice to get this done for the voters myself.
I don't follow what you're saying, the first one?
Well, you get a quick start, and it looks like he's willing to do that thing in 4 weeks, a month's time, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Know anyone can donate $100,000?
No, I mean, we just, we gotta, just, as far as I'm concerned.
It'd be out of your budget.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, it would be just like a regular road project,
Right.
just make it happen.
And we're only talking about, it'd be talking
So
about
next year's budget,
138,
you
yeah.
use that money.
it'd be
Okay.
138,000 approximately out of his, in fact, 142.
So another thing too is, I'm just gonna
38.
say this out loud. We're in a negative 28,423, so we know we have to apply that, and take that from this year's budget. He currently has 89,409, we have a few weeks of payroll, any other incidentals
Yep.
coming up, so even if we, 28, that's 30, that puts us at, 59. You could use this lapsing money towards the warrant, you see what I'm saying? Rather than let it go in the general fund, take the money from his budget.
I thought he was using the money from his budget to pay the bridge,
Yes.
so that's 52 out of there right away, and then leaving the 24.
It's one way or the other. It's
Right.
the same both ways.
Right, it's the same
Right.
both ways, but
Right.
I think it was a little cleaner the other way.
Which
Yeah.
way?
Just
Having you
encumber,
pay for the part of the
It
bridge.
is,
Right.
because the 24 is in an account that's
That way
not
it's
lapsing.
gone,
Yeah.
and you're not lapsing or rolling it.
It just ends at warrant.
No, I think that makes the most sense.
so pay down this 24,401, the remainder out of your budget.
No,
No, pay the 52.
Paid at 52.
Okay,
pay the
Out of-
total out of the budget,
out of the budget, okay? And then
Yeah.
leave that warrant
and then
to
use
add with the
Yeah.
85
Yeah.
that we have from the state
Right.
earmarked. And then look for 100,000 out of your 2018 budget.
No, look for it, it's what we would do.
That's your project.
That's your big project.
132K.
Yeah. And then, fingers crossed, hope that,
I think it's a little ambitious.
hope that we get the 100,000 as a warrant article. If we don't, we'll be doing probably very little.
There's always
we won't-
much to trim back.
Yeah, that's, I mean, no, I'm not being a wise guy, Dave's right, I mean, we'll.
Clean them ditches like you've been doing.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing some of
clean
that for
brush
those
back
dirt roads now, because to get rid of the leaves and stuff, but I don't know, get to going on. I think that's the best plan under the circumstances, I don't think we have any choice, again, it's.
Now, the thing is, do we have enough to make a decision tonight, or do you wanna wait on the last one to get his, get numbers in? I think with 3 bids, we have 4 good bids.
You're 4 that are close.
Yeah, I mean, and then the only thing is the start dates, I mean, I don't wanna wait till May after the town.
Well,
So this is my thought, and I'm gonna talk out loud here,
Yeah.
just speak freely. If we could get this thing started so our voters can see some action done on this.
Yeah.
We actually have enough money with the 24K and the 85K to start this project.
Yep.
Knowing your budget's not gonna go through the town and be at 0,
no,
so
exactly,
there's gonna be money there in 2018 right after, so I think that we can get this project started for our voters.
Yep.
Cause we know we're not waiting for a warrant article, we're taking
No.
it right out of your budget,
Yep.
so. And you're the department head, you're in agreement to that.
no, I
so.
think it's the only way to do it.
So my thought is not to wait till some of these start dates, you know, I'm looking here, advance is the lowest one. With the quickest start date, mid-January.
Yep.
And the quickest 4-week turnaround time, so he's obviously got the equipment
Yep.
to do this, so at the end of February,
Done.
the project could be complete.
One of them, and it was, could have been Daniels, he was, he was he couldn't start it right now, he's finishing something else, and I think
He
the
said
pole.
spring starts.
Yeah,
This
Yeah.
time might be too quick for us as well, because we still have to go through the town meeting to get funded and everything. so-
Well, I'm gonna ask a dumb question, I need help here. January, you're gonna do this construction project in the middle of winter?
Yeah, they seem to think it's no problem,
Yeah.
they don't have to pour any concrete, it's all precast.
A lot of times, once they dig these now, Mike, they
Yeah.
cover them with blankets and they just keep working right through the winter.
Okay, I'm ignorant here, I just
Yeah.
don't know. Is that,
They're not actually pouring the concrete.
Right.
It's already precast and made.
right, I mean, I know the basic,
To me, the springtime would be a silly time to start that, cause that's
It's
when
too
the
wet.
highest water.
In the construction field now, all these buildings, they go right through the winter. They
Okay.
cover them with heat
so
blankets.
that's a,
But,
What were you, going back to what you were starting to
going
say?
back to what I was thinking,
money
is, you
sent
know,
your warrants. are
this is
coming.
actually quicker because you've got town meeting to process before you're funded for the following year.
And the other problem is they're gonna wanna compact that every so often. And if you're frozen material, they're not gonna let you do any, put in much fill till the material's not frozen,
Yeah.
you know?
But they're gonna bring all fresh material in, I would think, for that.
Well, you'd be surprised if, if you work outside in the wintertime, it freezes up pretty quick.
Yeah, but like when you're doing a
we
building
gotta-
full of fill that goes against it, brand new. That's why this guy left this fill out.
Not all the time, cause
Well.
I've worked on buildings where they didn't hold for quite a while, you know? In fact, when they built the trash to energy, that was with a tent, pressurized tent, so they could bring stuff in there and let it thaw, so that when Miller Engineering came in to do the
Yep.
testing, compaction testing,
Yep.
they could get a result, you know? So, that's why, you know, January could be good, it might be better, even if you start a little bit later.
Well, I think, Lean, help me with this, but, I'll let Leo speak here in a minute, but help me with this, town meeting and the finish date on that and the funding for the second half of the payment for the contractor that we picked. How would that go about?
Well, based on their proposal for what they wanna do for stage 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
If you have the funding right now, the 85, which would be 85, 95, almost 100
Okay.
grand,
Yep,
can that cover the cost of phase 1 and 2?
it does, I can see it phase one, it doesn't complete phase two, but it's probably,
We
It's
have a
halfway on
clause in
phase
there that we
2.
hold back
Right.
a percentage until it's inspected, and we have someone on retainer that we said would be willing to do that, that's local and reasonable, and
It's it'd be 24,000, just hold back. So 24,000 from that, we're talking about, we have to be able to cover a little bit of like 100 and change.
yeah, cause we're like 69 on his and then 124, so if you take,
132 minus 24 out of that, that'd be 108, 106, excuse me.
so,
if we accept the contract and the board decides to use any remaining funds to encumber
We
those,
have to, yeah, so say.
you can encumber the
Encumber that.
36,580, I mean, there's a few ways that, just to zero out his budget, but to,
well, instead of making a decision this week, what I'd like to do is, have you do a little layout of us, for mapping that funding portion of it for next week's meeting. And, cause 1 week won't kill us either way.
No, the first start date would be mid-January anyway.
No,
So if
that's
she
fine.
does a layout of the funding and gives us the, give us, option one, option two, so we can try and decipher through that. And then we can read through these a little bit better and pick a vendor the following week. What do you think about that, Bob?
No, I agree with you,
We'll give it
Do
1 week.
we want
cause we
to,
wanna work through your budget,
Yeah,
cause I can't see a warrant article and have it not pass and have a bridge
that's half done.
stacked
I
over.
don't think, unless I'm.
town meeting is when you're gonna get funded for your next year.
Yeah, but,
Okay, so
Yeah.
we need to have a payment ready, so if we gave him the green light to go, this guy could be done before we're ready to pay the second half is what I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
the only thing we can hold back is $24,000 from the 10% of the bill,
So you follow me? So we'd be pushing his start date. right, for town meeting to
Mhm.
finish, right?
Mhm.
And have that all go through.
Yeah.
Because each of these departments get funded after town meeting.
Right, we're actually working.
We spend it and,
We're
we spend the money in some ways before we actually get it.
Well, it's
Right.
at the same level as last year or two.
Yeah.
If something should go haywire at town meeting, then the board would wanna use some of your surplus
Right.
to fund this.
Leo, you've been jumping up and down, go
Yeah, well,
ahead.
that was my point. Can't you use some of your surplus to get you on to where we, you know, to complete this and get on to?
We just got it to 5%.
What?
I'm just kidding, I said we just got it to 5%.
Well, you haven't
Well,
seen the
but
bottom
they would be
line yet.
temporary
You may
usage.
have, 2 or
Yeah.
300,000.
No, as a bridge loan.
Exactly.
Oh,
So,
I like the way you did that.
Right?
yes,
You
so,
can do that.
one thing that you can keep in mind is you have a $2 million budget. All departments combined, you have a return of 300,000, I'm just using a good number. You can, at that time, encumber all the funds, have it run in a deficit on his budget, because you wanna pay and hold some of this for this contract from this year's budget.
That's why,
Just getting it, like,
that's why I
accounting
wanted you to
shells.
lay that out for us next week.
Putting your money to good use.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Now-
absolutely.
Yeah, I think you might wanna
Yeah,
do
that's what I'm
that,
gonna have
you
to
know,
lay
use
out
the
next
different
week.
I have another
scenarios, so we can make a
Yeah.
decision
One
next
at a
week,
time.
cause, you know, really there's been a lot of pressure, and I hate to be always been the guy banging you with,
Oh, no,
when's
that's
the
fine.
bridge getting done?
No, that's
But,
fine, I got no problem.
and I'm still getting some calls from certain people that deliver wood, that
Yeah.
wish they had a bridge to go over.
I would ask you to review the contracts
Yeah.
with your expertise. And if you see anything that's outlined, bring it to the board next week.
Okay.
Just look at it.
Well, are we gonna, should we? This Hanson guy,
That's the next issue. You wanna reach out to him too and have.
should we have him quantify an amount for that?
Yes, we should.
Yep.
Yeah,
To keep
I
it,
mean, it's an attractive bid. For I don't,
well, you know the cost of yards,
yeah,
price per
but I
yard.
mean, and the only thing is, I don't think his costs are really unreasonable either, what he listed, but he should quantify it.
right.
But
I
Jeff,
don't,
do you-
we don't want an extra of $50,000.
Well, no, and we want it inclusive, we don't want it
Yeah.
even open-ended.
Exactly, I agree with you. I mean, I'd rather,
Yeah.
It's open-ended right now.
I would
Yeah.
rather pay 242 and say, this is what it's gonna be, and okay, no problem. Then you have 184, and then all of a sudden there's $30,000 or $40,000 in material. Oh, I can't use this material, I didn't plan on it.
The only
He's
other
kinda
problem I
leaving us.
have there is, you know, if you look at the times,
Yeah,
I mean,
what was his time?
4-month time frame, and I'm looking at the voters' end of it, this thing's gone on a while, I'd like to get it rolled over. as
Yeah, it's
quick as
I think 4 weeks sounds great.
I mean, I'm kinda, even the other contractors, they didn't specify exactly when they were gonna start, but they didn't have it
No,
wasn't
they
gonna be
said
that long a
Whether to
project.
be determined, then one was 3 months, and then
One
one
was
was fairly
February.
quick, February 5th
February,
Probably a small
mid-January,
operation, too.
in May, yeah.
and then 3 months, and
And
6
one said
weeks.
spring start,
Yeah.
6 weeks, so the others weren't that long, so.
No, that's what I mean, he's kinda got a big window there for something.
Okay. I'm
Go ahead.
taking a comment from some of the public here,
Yeah.
to be assistants, go to Leo if you want to say something
Well, a
else.
couple of things is, number one, your dates, your scheduling. 4 weeks could turn out to be 8, so
Yeah.
nobody knows that.
Weather
You
permitting,
know,
absolutely.
well, nobody knows that,
Right.
you know, I mean, so that, as far as doing the, getting this started for the voters, if you're looking at the difference in price is 60,000, I think the voters would rather have the 60,000 versus.
That's why we're
Now,
gonna
I'm
reach out.
not saying that that's the way to go, I'm just
No.
making a point here. The other point is, doesn't the state have to inspect this?
No, our engineer inspects it.
Oh, well, it will be inspected then.
Yes,
Yes.
it will
So,
be inspected.
I see no problems if it was done in January, because I've seen this happen many times before.
Yeah.
And so you should be able to have it done and not be worried about issues with the materials.
Right.
I don't, because number one, you have, a schedule there, they're probably gonna set these mostly on crushed stone.
Yes.
Am I correct?
That's correct, Leo,
So-
100%.
Right, so that'll compact very well.
Yep,
And then you're setting these, and what you're basically talking about is backfill.
yep,
So I really don't see a problem with
yep,
that.
you're 100% right, in
You
theory.
got a comment?
Oh, I got lots of comments.
Oh, if you
You
got.
wanna hear them now or wait till public comment?
No, if it's pertinent to this issue, pertinent to this thing, we're just trying to get some ideas here.
In all honesty, I think the town was sold a bill of goods on the $65,000 for this bridge way back when, and it's been a bane of everybody's existence.
So
That being said,
agreed.
I don't necessarily agree the way you're thinking to fund it, to be honest with you. The whole idea of being transparent and using warrant articles and such. I think one of you said up there, but Jeff said it's a shell game. I don't think that's fair to the voters. They ought to know what this thing's gonna cost ultimately, because now you're burying it into budgets and stuff like that. It's not a true accounting, and the taxpayers really don't know how much this thing's really gonna cost them.
Well, it could be a line item in his budget.
That's not what his budget's for. His budget is for operations and maintenance, not rebuilding capital improvements of a bridge. That is not what his budget's for. So, that being the case, again, you're not being transparent in 100% to the voters, and they don't know what the true cost is gonna be.
But that can be explained in the,
Yeah, I think, repair and maintenance, I mean, this is a bridge.
Because I think if the voters knew it's gonna cost a $250,000 plus the other 65, you're looking at a $300,000 bridge that's gonna satisfy maybe what, 50 to 75 families on one side of town, and we have 2,000 other people that will never see it or use it. That's a pretty good return on investment for those people, not for the rest of us taxpayers.
Okay, I hear you.
So will you consider selling the parts?
I would just consider just closing the damn road and just call it done.
So I hear you.
It's not worth the money.
Chief, do you have anything? No?
Well, the road being open, I mean, the road being open is a big help for police and fire.
Yeah, it was one of the issues on the table was health safety.
Can I just
It was
ask,
a through road, I think, and, I can't tell you how many people have come to people at this board. That is a thoroughfare to go to the dump. I mean, sometimes they'll go this way, one way, and back the other way, but Jeff can probably tell you how many people have come up, and, that way going down to the dump of people from Kimball Pond, even my end of town, it's just been something we've always done, and I think that's always been a through road, and I think it's a project that needs to be completed within the town.
can I just say that I read something recently, and I think I showed it to Jeff, that there are grant opportunities for bridge repair even after the fact. So that would be probably a
To
goal
apply
of
for.
mine, to apply for goal, for to get some of that money back.
maybe you could get it.
Yeah,
If you need help, I know a good grant writer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Can I say a couple things now?
yes.
When I was referring to a shell game, Brian, it was the fact that you got money here, which is obvious, and you say, oh, I'm taking this dollar and I'm gonna put a gallon of gas in my car, and I'm gonna take this dollar, I'm gonna buy the piece of candy. So I take this dollar and put it in the candy pile and do that. That's what I mean. That's not hiding shell game or anything like that.
No, there's nothing.
That's just silliness. The other thing is, I'm sorry you feel you sold a bill of goods. I was sold a bill of goods. I blame it on the state of New Hampshire, because we got it shoved up I'm not gonna say it, on this whole project from the get-go. There's a metal culvert pipe that's been there since the 30s. It's been more than adequate. In a flood control, we had to put it in this huge structure to replace that. I have the paperwork from Minchie Corporation on a 24-foot wide box culvert that was used on another project that was $58,000. We used that as a guide because the salesman, engineer at Minchie and myself went down there, we looked at it, we said, wow, this should work, look at the size of this one, look at the size of that. We were very confident. Every time the state of New Hampshire has touched this project, it's driven the cost up. And I blame it all on them, DES and everything else. The whole thing is just ridiculous. It's out of control, but we have no choice. We can't say we're not gonna do it now. It would be just irresponsible to leave $100,000, or but not $100,000, $80,000 piece of precast concrete sitting in Minchie Corporation's yard just to prove a point.
Thank you.
It's unfortunate, but we've got beyond that. We just gotta get over it. And I'll assume full responsibility for it.
No.
I wish it had turned out different. I explored the idea of going with a wooden type bridge, and I got some estimates, just off the cuff estimates, of $250,000 for that. So I thought, well, wait, this is not gonna work. This is really gonna expensive. But when we got done the permitting to allow us to put it in, we ended up with a $300,000 $300,000 or $350,000 project. And as far as the benefit to the town, there's people that live on Route 13 and Route 77, they pay their taxes every single year, they pay a lot of money. And they really don't get the benefits of the roads, they don't need to travel the roads. So you can't use that theory that just this group of people is gonna use this because they live there. It's a joint effort, we all use it.
It's like the milfoil argument.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna bring it back to the
All right.
board. We have some action items. Lean, a spreadsheet, filling in the financing of this, how we can, arrange to pay it.
I'll need all the packs.
That's action item one. Action item two, we need to contact the other company to delineate the exact, specifications for
Can
materials.
you contact
Yeah.
that company?
Yeah, I'll
For
call
materials?
Yeah, the Hanson Company,
Hanson
and tell them
Company.
to quantify that with a dollar amount.
Yep, and, those are the two action items. We'll meet again next week to determine which way we're gonna go. But I think, we have a general direction we're
Yeah.
going.
The only thing too, I mean, one of those bidders that we already have a relationship with.
Which one?
One of them, we already have a relationship with, Advanced Paving, yes, but they do paving.
Was that the first one?
Yeah, they do paving for us.
Yeah, we were leaning towards them, but the thing is, we wanna do
Yeah.
due diligence to look at everything.
Oh, no, we could save some money, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Okay, we got about 30 seconds and we'll go on to a different subject.
Okay.
Okay, any, those two action items good enough?
Yep, I think that's fine. Now, Lean, when you break it down, maybe, give us like option number one, juggling it this way, or option number two, doing it that way.
I'll send you the spreadsheet and see if it makes sense to you. And
Okay.
then it might be easier.
Well, I was thinking that, if we do it in a spreadsheet, we'll be picking from this over here and over here.
No, yeah, I understand.
You
Option
follow
one.
it? Yeah,
I
okay.
think so.
Just the two ways we kinda talked about
Yep.
it, whether you take it out of just budget for the bridge
Yeah.
or do it the other way.
And I think, it's not, we're not gonna go, the checkbook, we're not going the red, because we do have reserve, which will carry us over as the cover until the budget gets approved by the town.
Right.
And so I'm not worried about that at all. Or quote unquote bridge loan.
Yeah.
Okay, your budget's up, sir.
Oh, then, I turn back in the barrel again?
No.
Well, this is a little,
I wanna-
hopefully this is a little more palatable.
I wanna purpose.
I
wanna-
gave you the updated sheet, right? Did I give you a
Yes.
copy? Okay.
I wanna purpose this, we're not drilling down, we're just getting,
Yeah,
point out the outliers. We'll have an opportunity to drill down later.
yeah, I mean, I don't know how in depth you wanna get into this.
Well, anything that's, on the budget, just tell us, you're going up or going down, and just,
You
or
know,
flat.
it was, we had talked about equal services, whatever.
Yeah,
keep it at
level
that.
services, yeah.
Yeah, level, and I kept the number that way.
Okay,
I mean, we can work within it, I mean, again, if you started falling down through it, Lean does her magic with, Pete's payroll. It had gone up a little bit, and he also received a step increase this year.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why there's a little bit different
Yeah,
from
so,
your original.
yeah, so obviously, and I just let her do all that, she's got all the numbers, and I
It
just,
makes it very easy, he gives a round number, and then any CPI gets adjusted out of the highway paving cost, so that will fluctuate from year to year by $2,000 or so.
if you kind of fall down through, I'm not gonna hit on everything, but the full-time employee, you notice a substantial increase there, that was that. The part-time, this year, I lost one of my part-time helpers, quite a few hours, he wasn't available. He may be available next year, if he isn't, I gotta do something about picking up an extra part-time guy to help Pete do a lot of, day-to-day type things.
Manual labor.
Yeah, and helping him, I mean, I help him too, but we just, a lot of little projects we need to have that person, so I left that the same. The overtime, we went over on it last year, that's a bit of a guess, because we never know how much overtime we're gonna get. At one point in time, it was all included in the budget, and for some reason, somewhere along the line, I think a lot of selectmen wanted to break it out to see what the overtime is. The end of the line is, we have to do the snow removal, and 9 times out of 10, it comes on a holiday or a weekend or whatever.
The separate lines for overtime versus salary also helps in the accounting department for reporting of New Hampshire retirement. And
Yeah.
doesn't get confusing with the combined.
okay, a dumb question, just,
Yep.
when you support the transfer station, how you report those hours? How we report those hours?
We deducted, we charge the transfer station.
Yeah,
Okay.
Pete fills out a timesheet,
Okay,
and he puts down the hours, I mean, he just rounds it off.
right, but it
You know,
comes,
it's
the money
like,
comes back to you.
Well, no, it actually,
Lean comes out of the transfer
Comes
station.
out of the transfer station,
So it's a
part-time.
separate action,
Yep,
okay,
yep.
thank you.
so that's why when you look at like the full-time pay this year, you say, boy, we budgeted 45, we only paid him 41. Well, some of those hours were actually paid out of the transfer station
That's right.
because he was
That's-
at the.
That's why, yeah.
Perfect, that's what I wanted to say.
So I mean, we anticipate, as far as budgeting, no hours at the transfer station. That would be the perfect world, but it hasn't ended up that way. So that's why that number ended
I
up,
hear you.
you know, it's, but again, I let Lean do all the figuring on that.
And is this, take it through November or through the rest of this month too, Lean, the actual?
The actual was just run today.
So the thing is, you still got a couple
Today.
more
We
weeks.
have,
Yeah,
yeah, we'll have,
Okay,
Yeah, so he's got a few more weeks.
sure,
plus.
okay,
2 weeks.
all right.
three payrolls.
Where are we? Oh, so anyway, highway paving, $255,000 is what we're proposing. Basically, that was that, what I was getting at when I said, take the money, would come out of that.
You
So
would
it
just
essentially,
The CPI
Push,
just
push
gets.
another project down the road,
exactly,
gotcha.
but I really.
But you'd still do your warrant article to finish that road, like.
Yes,
planning.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you fall all the way down through, I mean, there was one thing, I'm looking. Oh, road striping, paid basically $8,000, I bumped it to 85, because we never actually paid, we didn't stripe the parking lot out here, and there was some interest in us striping the parking lot. Right,
Absolutely.
Are you?
yeah,
Yeah, people always park.
yeah, it seems to be,
Okay. Really, the only one I think is really critical is just the handicap.
yeah.
The handicap.
I mean, I personally don't have any problem with it.
Oh,
I have a problem if
Okay.
it's not striped.
What's
I'll
that?
do it in public comment
Okay.
anyway.
That would be best
Okay, anyway.
okay.
for the
That-
selectmen.
I don't know what else is the rest of it. Obviously, you can see some of these, you're gonna say, geez, you budgeted all that, but you didn't spend any of it.
So,
There with this, well, the salt, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, typically, we order some, had enough to, you know, do what we gotta do for the rest of this year and everything else. And with the impending financial issues with this bridge thing, typically I order more salt this time of year to finish.
Well, and we've talked about the winter contractors before, you could always end up in a deficit there if you
Yeah.
lost a truck or a guy,
Yeah, so I mean, we all,
you know,
Yeah,
that could be a big issue one winter if we,
it's weather dependent.
well, we have all private contractors,
Yeah.
so if you lost one in the middle of the year, it would really have to juggle things around for
yeah.
him.
Well, anyway, the bottom line is, there's some of those that I held off on doing anything, because basically we knew this, we were gonna have some incurred costs with installing this, but we gotta get back on, I feel we gotta get back on track with some of that, like we're behind on our tree trimming now. You know, we put some money in for blasting, I always carry something for there, cause sometimes we do some ledge removal, we didn't do any this year, we didn't run into any in our road projects, so that was that.
I have no problem with the budget as presented, Dave.
I mean, unless there's something you really wanna, you know, sit down and pick
I
apart.
think the big elephant in the room is gonna be just how we finance the.
Yeah, so basically, if we ended up going along with one of those articles, took the 85 that we have and the 24, and then the remainder out of the budget, would probably drop that down to like $135,000 or something, would be what we would be spending on road repairs and paving or whatever. Just a quick number, round number.
Yep.
Just a guess from what we've been talking about. Again, I would like to ask for that warrant article, I know
For the 100K. for the
100,000,
completion, which is the same thing you did last year.
yeah, what we've been doing, and as you heard me, I've always got up and given my spiel, I really feel that,
Well-
should be, we should have been upping our budget to that point and included in it, but we wanna go ask every year and.
Well, preserves
That's
the
what we-
investment too, because you're top coating it now.
Yeah. And again, I mean, we refer to it as that, but, you know, it could be paving something else, but basically, that's where we go on that.
Okay, I have no further questions. Dave, or,
Nope, no one,
okay.
I'm glad to see you kept it level.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that the highway department, we had a pretty good increase a number of years ago to help out, and, you know, we can work within what we've got, you know, I mean, we don't have a bunch of employees, but we have one, so.
Yep.
You don't take
And
her-
then we have a lot of variables, we don't know what the weather's gonna be,
Okay,
And we didn't have a lot of bad.
just so I'm clear,
Yep.
I'm going to encumber or pay an invoice
I'll get that invoice.
this
to you.
budget.
I will get the invoice.
Gotcha, okay.
For
The
the
remainder,
precast,
the
yes.
remainder of that precast.
Jeff, have you
Storage fees.
inspected and done all that?
Excuse me?
Have you inspected and gone up and saw it?
Oh, yeah, I've gone up, saw it. Yeah, it's
Storage.
quite the thing.
Storage fees. We're gonna get nailed with any storage.
Well, they haven't said anything about it.
Okay. don't
What
mind.
color is it, Jeff?
A light gray. Concrete gray. It has a nice stamp on it, says Town of Dunbarton.
Okay,
Yeah, no, there's no storage.
That's when they get the rest of the money.
Yeah, it does.
All right, so we're done that
yeah,
section.
we
of the
certainly
budget?
have. Thank you, sir. We'll
Thank
see
you.
you, see you next week for the continuation.
Yes,
We're going down here.
but didn't she have she wanted a public comment about my budget, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, they have to wait till the public comment section. I have to hold your note.
All right,
Okay.
Wow, that's be me.
Yeah.
It's just about the stripes,
I
isn't it?
can't,
I tried to help you.
I won't make you stay for my public comment, it's okay.
Maybe I should.
okay, I wanna, now we're gonna move on to the next item on the agenda. We're gonna, basically, it's a subdivision is expanding the roadway, and they're gonna give a little portion of the town so the roadway can be expanded. The question is I had, why does a roadway need to be expanded, so why do we need to accept this land? This is,
Okay.
for a road widening Whitetail Court.
First, where's Whitetail Court off Grapevine, it looks like?
Yep,
Oh, is that new 4-lot or 3-lot?
three lot
lot.
subdivision
Yep.
with a private
Yeah,
road.
so the town office has been busy trying to close out some of these projects that have been going on for a long period of time. This is one of them. The owner has been very cooperative, he's out of state. We've got a lot of deeds that we've been trying to process, plan review, final plan review for filing. The stipulations for getting this plan filed was to, based on the approval of the planning board, is to give the town an area, which is the equivalent of 0.14 acres for any potential future road widening. And then the others would be the covenants,
How
and
come
then
the planning board isn't coming to us then?
it's already, this is for a private road, it's already an
It's still
approved,
part of their subdivision?
it's an approved subdivision,
Yes.
but it's not the same as dedicating a road to the town. It's just there's certain requirements that they have to follow through with in order for the town to file their plan, which they have complied with. One of them is to get, this road widening, which was part of the drawn plan approval.
You have that?
I have it right in front of me.
No, he has the deeds.
You want me to just speak on that for a
Yes,
second?
that's what I'm asking.
Like Grapevine Road, Dave, when this project was initiated quite a number of years ago, it was a 4-lot subdivision.
Yeah,
And
I
one of the,
remember that one.
yeah, one of the requirements for that was the developer was gonna give the town a strip of land alongside of Grapevine Road in case there was ever a need
Oh,
to.
those are those extra,
Yes, ever a
instead of a
need.
3-rod road, they ask for
Yeah,
extra when they go to
in
the
case,
planning
yeah, in
board.
case there was ever any
It was a
any-
3-rod road, yeah.
any desire to really expand the road some. It's kinda something we've been doing on a regular basis now because.
Yep,
as long
I did
as
hear
you-
that at a few meetings now that you mention it.
So-
They're increasing it.
Basically, what happened is, that was on the original subdivision. This thing has changed its shape and become a PUD, 3-lot subdivision. And the road, the access road to it is a private road. However, they still left that little strip along the side of Grapevine Road to become town land, so I guess to clean up all the deeds and all that, they have to transfer it to the town. But the selectmen, as the governing body, have to go along with, not the governing body.
Accepting it.
The bosses or whatever, they have to accept it, if that explains it anymore.
It does, and the maps explains it, I'm gonna show Bob here.
Yeah. It really has no
So-
bearing on the private road at all.
So it's already an approved plan by the planning board. It's already gone through the motions, and this is just a final plan review.
That's my understanding.
Yep, I'm okay with it. I've seen, I see him come into the planning board and you guys have requested that additional water main.
That's a piece right here. So if this grapevine ever expands in the future.
If there was ever any need to do
They,
it.
It actually happened in the seventies back on the Martell property that I own there too.
And this road is a privately maintained road, which it was made, according to Jeff, they did a good job on that.
It was made, the town has some specifications that they require, it's like a shared driveway type of thing. Only we take no ownership of it, no repair to it or anything, maintenance.
What width is that one, Jeff?
It's 18 feet of travel way and a 2-foot shoulder, I think they did on each side.
Yeah.
And they actually paved it, wasn't a requirement, but they paved it, which was all their thing.
And you said they actually provided a decent size
Yeah.
roundabout.
That was one of the stipulations, life safety for the fire department, and they had to make a good turnaround so they could get down there with the fire trucks and get around, and John's all happy with it, and it seems to be pretty adequate. But again, once again, it's all a private thing.
They paved the whole turnaround too?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, they did a big circle down
Okay, so the thing is, we need a motion to accept this before we can sign anything. So I'll try to make the motion. And without overcomplicating this, to make a motion that per New Hampshire RSA chapter 674, that we accept the town of Dunbarton accepts the road widening dedication off Grapevine Road for the private drive called Whitetail Court, a tract containing 0.14 acres.
You have a deed there, Mike?
I have the deed here, which they require my signature to sign it as a representative of the board, and the town administrator has to sign this.
I would just add in your thing for the deed.
Per specifications as delineated in the deed.
Yeah. I'll second that.
Any further discussion on this acceptance of the 0.14 acres? All in favor? Aye. This has to be notarized?
No, I just have to sign that you are a true authorized person to
Okay.
accept.
The plans make it very clear on it. Boy, you really having a busy night tonight.
You know, almost a public comment too.
Dave,
Yes, I
you're
do.
the second, right?
Hey Mike, I'm gonna
Yes.
ask you to just add the date on that
We only
line.
got one
Oh, you
quick
want me
thing
to put
on
the
the
date
agenda.
already?
and you're
Yeah,
up.
in your
I'm sorry.
your
We only
ink.
got one quick thing and you're up.
Okay, next item, we're gonna talk about, this great time of the year, which I came on last year, is meeting deadlines and then, meeting dates for the next three and a half months. If you, everyone should have a calendar in their packet.
Yeah, so I did print off the two forms from the Department of Revenue. Every year they put together a March town meeting timeline, and then I develop what I try to hold to for a reverse calendar timeline, so that I can meet everything prior to, or during the budget process, and then everything leading up to prior to the town meeting. So in general, the 2018 calendar, I did put it in the header at the top. So we have 7 possible budget meetings between next Thursday, the 21st, through February 1st. It's possible that if we are not at a point where we feel we'll be ready for a public hearing, that we may have to hold a couple of budget workshops. On the January month, we have, I'll be putting a notice in the paper for the public hearings, and in order to meet the 7 days notice between a first public hearing and a possible second public hearing, I put the notice to include both dates. And that's been something that's been recommended by our town attorney, DRA. It's kind of given us protection so that if for reason something comes up on your original public hearing, which I'm shooting for the February 8th, or a snow day, then you already publicly noticed the meeting, and would just, be covering both possible dates. We don't typically hold our first public hearing on the budget before the, last day the petition warrant articles are due, and that would be Tuesday, February 6th. So with that information, if something should come in that I'm not aware of, we verify the voter registration, and then we add the article to the warrant that you will present at your February 8th public hearing, and then you can go through the explanation and the vote and everything else that's required during public hearing. Again, I will be pushing the board to hold the public hearing on the February 8th, which is a Thursday. The last day to post your warrant and your budget is February 26th, which is a Monday. And the annual reports must be in print format or available to the public at least 7 days before town meeting, and our town meeting is scheduled for Tuesday the 13th. So that means I have to have them in people's hands or available by the Tuesday before, which is March 3rd.
March 6th.
Excuse me, March 6th, yes. And then again, I'm from past history, the Dunbarton Elementary Schools always held their school meeting the Saturday before ours, so I have noted there March 10th with the time to be determined, and typically they will work with us, so there's a few other descriptive things on the calendar that you guys will have to decide on. Dedication of the town report. I'll be sending out a memo here shortly to ask the people involved with participating in the report that they get their reports out by a certain time. And then again, I'm always juggling the final report, a proof being reviewed by others interested in reviewing it, getting it to the post office in time, because they need at least 3 days to mail to all 3 routes.
So you're talking about probably having it mailed by March 1st then?
Well, I have to get it to the post office by March 1st.
Yeah, that's what I'm
in order for them to get 3 days of
postage, get it.
route mailing to get it to them on the 6th.
Okay.
So there's a lot of little juggling there. So if we start from the back page, my public hearing will be posted on the 14th. Last day for petition, voters to petition the selectmen is February 6th. And then the school public hearing, I haven't heard. I'm working with their administrator over at SAU, and she's communicating with the Dr. Kess, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. Kess.
The big administrator over there.
That's right. So we're working with them.
I don't see anything we can really change, it's too tight, so.
No,
it's
we
not
really
big
did,
change, we
this
just-
is where, oh, I did wanna bring up one, no
I only would suggest
no
that we
public
color
permit.
code these things up on the top here.
Oh, with the notes? Okay, I did wanna point out, if you look at January, and I'm gonna ask this in the board to be understanding with me, the week of the 14th, you see the lines struck
do.
out for
Yeah.
the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, through the 24th. I'm going to be requesting a vacation of 8 days.
And the 14th, what's on the 14th, let me look up here.
That's actually a Sunday. So,
So you'll be working that Sunday to make sure that gets done?
actually, I'll be flying down to Florida because I've won a cruise, Powerball cruise, in case anybody wants to know.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so this is making me a little nervous, but I'll make sure you guys stay on track, and I believe before then, I can have a complete budget, if we haven't already set it before then, for the board to review on the 18th. So you'll hold this regular meeting, look at the full budget, look at all the warrants, and then we can revisit it again on the 25th when we get
So
back.
those are the days we'd be drilling down.
Really drill it down.
Now, you put a line through the 18th, that's just for you, we're still gonna have our meeting.
Correct,
And so the 14th, it looks like it's just a newspaper notice, which we'll have in beforehand.
correct, yep. Yeah,
And she gets back on the 25th, but I told her she can't make it to the meeting, so Corin will cover it.
What were the yellows down at the bottom of January?
the yellows, those would be a potential, workshops. So you really wanna be able to concentrate, again, between now and,
February 2nd.
there's a couple of other things.
Workshops to go over the budget,
If we need.
Correct, if you need added extra time.
bring our axes in.
Coffee too.
One thing you guys will also wanna do, and you have to do it in non-public, is decide on a dedication of the town report.
Okay.
Decide who's gonna write the annual report. But everything else I think will be covered and substantially complete.
Dedication.
Okay, thank you. Now, without any further ado,
We said the dedication, and what else did we say?
Writing your selectmen's annual report.
selectmen's report.
And I'll be sending out a memo here in the next week, giving everyone a deadline for that return time period.
And the thing is, he also haven't identified each organization who's gonna review their, give the final okay on their.
Yeah, I can do that, add that to say that
Point of
there.
contact.
Yep, but I'll, have to explain now, I get a proof in my office and I have literally 2 days to review that proof. And that's all I can give those individuals to come in
Oh,
and look at their.
I have no issue with that.
Because
Oh,
there's
I-
such a small window.
Right, I just wanna make sure they have the opportunity.
Absolutely, yes, I will. Yeah, but I'll add that to my memo.
And the thing is, I was talking, just for the public, I was talking about the town report, and, I wanna make sure the content is 100%. I can deal with a formatting error, and sometimes you get formatting errors because when it goes to publisher, things happen to format. But I can excuse a formatting if it's beyond the control of the town of Dunbarton due to, we pay for it and then maybe we get remuneration because they screwed up formatting, whatever. But the thing is, I wanna just ensure that at least the content is spot on.
Yeah, I did, there was 1 year that it wasn't brought to my attention until well after town meeting, but just the title of somebody's report went on to the next page, and that was not a formatting by our end, it just happened to hit that printer, and it just shifted to one title in like 3 pages, and the rest of it went back untracked, so I don't know why that would happen, but it does happen.
And the things, and to avoid confusion, people complain to me about the report in the past, just a reminder that I like to recommend we have a section of, those community activities which are not necessarily funded by the town, we're gonna have them all towards the rear, separated, you know, as civic activities for the town of Dunbarton. Not to be confused with items which are funded by the town.
Okay.
Because there was a lot of people confused, well, I didn't know we were paying for this, what's this committee all about?
Okay, so, just for my clarification, town report has one section, school is separated with a cover
Right.
sheet in the back section. You would like any of those non-town committees to be at the end of the school,
Yes,
behind the school.
separated.
Yeah,
Behind the school or just at the end of the town section?
that's how I had done it in the past, and people still confused
They-
them as being part
Part
of
of-
a town
Yeah,
committee.
but there's no funding to them.
No, but the thing is that some of the organizations, they have nothing to do with any, we don't have any.
You ought to be able to look over the right-hand column and see there's no funding to them.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'd rather have a section where people realize these are civic activities for the town.
Right,
Now, separate entities, from the town, a lot of
You
it,
put it in the back of the school section, they're gonna think it's something to do with their section, though.
I could put a cover sheet that says,
separation, yeah.
yeah, just separate that section to identify that these are non, town, I don't know.
Community
how to word it, but-
organizations.
Community
What is it?
organizations.
Community
Yeah,
organizations.
there we go, I can call it that.
They can have their own section. And the thing is, I think there's a couple entities which, I'll be honest, there was one last year, the Historical Society and the Historical Awareness Committee. And everyone gets us confused, including this person here, until I started learning a little bit more. And one's funded by the town, has a budget line, and one has nothing to do with the town. Am I right? No?
We have no budget,
Okay, no budget.
Okay,
but we are.
But you're
town
official, you're
committee.
sanctioned, but you're official
We're a
committee of the town.
committee, yes.
And the other one's a private organization,
right,
which we can put both of them in there, but they be in separate sections.
right, and the garden club's another one, but they've always put their report in the back,
In
so
the
it makes sense that
Right,
it gets
yeah.
put together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Enough said on that. All set? Dave?
Yep.
Bob? Okay, all right. Public comment, and I'm gonna go, before
Before you go
I'm
any
gonna bring it
further,
back to the board.
okay. The
Uh,
MSW and the
Okay,
C&D?
yeah, okay, I'm gonna withdraw public comment, sorry, follows, we've got a few more things to go through. Okay,
Is this the mailbox you're going
yeah,
into?
the mailbox.
Okay.
This is just, Stinson Hills is requiring a long overdue, in my opinion, a road bond reduction from the selectmen, it was in the planning board's arena, now it's in our arena, we control the bond. And I'd just like to get an estimate from the road agent of how much we should retain back.
I have Bob's estimate, so I'll give that to you and I forwarded it to Kevin.
To be honest with you,
Yes,
I haven't really thought about it.
and I'm not looking for a decision.
I can't do it at this moment.
No, and I wouldn't expect you to.
Okay,
So-
And I'm just
because I
saying,
guess he wants,
Yeah, we have to do 14 days notice.
yeah, you gotta do a regular public meeting.
exactly,
Yeah.
but this is an FYI, that it's
Yeah.
coming,
Yeah,
I'm
nice.
gonna need some input from you.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they have a big bond right now, and
Yes.
it needs to be reduced.
So I have received a recommended bond reduction based on Bob Grondin's numbers. And then Kevin Leonard contacted me today, asking me to scan that to him, which I've done. So he's looking at his recommendations, gonna come up with a
Okay.
report, and he'll recommend that to the board, and then I'll have a copy for you, so if you have
Yeah,
Yeah.
any input, then you can,
Kevin Leonard being the town engineer that's been
Exactly.
overseeing the
yeah,
project.
yeah.
Okay, next item. We have the Bow Recycling Center contract we have with them. And the question is, we discussed it last week. Dave, I gave you the input from last week, it was in your file, you reviewed that, you were comfortable with that. Essentially, we have the option of extending our contract. We had a 3-year contract previously with them. We can negotiate we've negotiated prices for a 5-year contract. We do not have the contract in place. If the contract is the same, is in the same format as an existing one, which has been approved by our town attorney, and the numbers are the same, I'd like to allow or empower the town administrator to sign that contract on behalf of the selectmen, so we can get things going. There's no reason why we have to wait another week to vote on it next week. I think we should vote on it now. If the numbers don't change and the contract remains essentially identical with the change of the dates.
Now, you keep saying the same, but not actually the same, it's gonna be.
When I say the same,
Proposed numbers.
with the new proposed numbers, same in the sense
That's
that,
correct.
the wording is changed, but the numbers would reflect the increases as delineated, from the transfer station manager.
In the letter date.
In the letter dated 8 November from, Bow Recycling Center.
Mhm.
Do I have any further discussion? I'll make a motion that we empower the town attorney, the town administrator to make the contract, put it in effect and sign for us, if those stipulations of the,
In other words, you can sign for us, but I'm in agreement with the numbers.
okay. Well,
Yeah, I'm in agreement with the numbers. I know that there was communication going back and forth as far as a contract. I think that was with Woody, right?
No, and it was this gentleman asking us to
that too.
forward it.
Stan,
did-
Stan has it.
Yeah, and he did acknowledge that he had received it and thanked us, so I think he's working on typing up the new contract based on the old contract
Based on the old
with the new
contract.
numbers for the extension.
And as an FYI, the last contract was for public, we had a 3-year contract, and based upon we had some input from others, so we should, it was strongly advised we get a contract as long as we can get it, so we were able to get a 5-year contract on this, extended out 5 years.
Is this hazardous waste?
This is in,
Solid waste.
Solid waste with Bow?
Bow Recycling Center, they receive our trash
Oh,
and some of our
Yeah, MSW and C&D, they gave us numbers that they
okay,
would,
construction debris and all that.
Okay, so,
I'm fine with that, I'll second it.
okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Lean, just pay careful attention to the numbers as they come in, I want you to keep it in the file.
Yeah.
And so if there's any issues, we can bring it up next week if there's a problem.
yeah.
That goes for it.
This one's number 2, if you want to sign that over.
That goes to Lean Box.
Okay.
I think that empties the inbox. Lean, I don't think you have anything else in there for me. Oh my God. Okay, now, without further ado, public comment again. And, I'm gonna give special consideration to Cory.
The only thing I wanted to bring up is, you mentioned about the striping of roads, that nothing needed to be done. And then you mentioned something about the parking lot. Let me stress the problems with not having the parking lot done. Cemetery has the right of way to come out here on the side and come up. Whenever there's any type of public function, that whole area gets blocked, including the driveway in from me and anybody exiting the cemetery. If you don't wanna do the rest of it, at least you should put the yellow lines indicating that there is no parking at the end of the parking lot there. It really is a problem,
I've
especially
seen it
when I have,
blocked before too, and
and it's
So,
all,
it's
ever since
not
it's
only
been
the, not only
redone.
the cemetery, it's also your
My
tenants.
entranceway too, and the biggest problem, even though I do have the other entrance,
Yep,
it is very hard for oil trucks or any large trucks to come in and out by taking that quick bend. It's easier for them to come in this way and then come out that way for some reason.
well, even for safety, you've got several tenants there, so
Correct.
for
But
fire
you know,
safety, that should stay open, so.
Yeah, it was
When it
cordoned
was,
off with.
when it was marked years ago, which
Before it
Brian
got
had made sure it was done, it saved a
could
lot
I
of
ask you to meet
problems.
with the road agent, and the thing is that delineate, get the specifics, say how you'd like to recommend it?
I don't remember what the width and everything was of the yellow markings last time, do you remember, Brian, at all? No.
Okay.
Did they go right to left or left to right?
If I remember,
I'm just.
oh, don't tease me.
Hey, I'll tell you what, can we play Let's Make a Deal?
In what way?
If you, we'll do that, which we should do, I agree with you 100%, it should get done. Can we make sure we don't have overnight parking in the parking lot out here for
Oh,
the
I
tenants?
keep bringing this up with my tenants, it's like
Oh,
I feel like a dog pulling a bone.
We have a sign on the other
Right.
side of the parking lot.
Yeah, they
that
say it's not here, so they can park over
We
here.
didn't put, the sign that was over here
Got
always
knocked
got
down.
wrecked with a snowplow because we pushed
Yeah.
the snow up over there. So we took it down, and exactly like Lauren says,
Yeah.
well, the sign's not there, so I don't have to do it.
Can we hang something on the fence?
No.
Can I ask
You
you some
say no
questions?
It's
parking?
a stupid
No,
excuse.
why can't they be overnight parking?
Because it ends up being in the winter and the snowstorms, they leave.
Yeah.
It's, uh,
I wanna know why, so.
I also have had
And-
a notice from Lean that some of my tenants are pulling out of there and pulling through the parking lot, like it's a speedway.
Yeah.
I'm writing a note this week, it's going up on the door, that I've had from the selectmen a request to please not park in that parking lot for any reason other than when my brother's plowing, they park there for about 15 minutes until he gets done the parking lot, and then they have to pull in
Reasonable
right
standard,
away.
reasonable standard.
And if they see the plow at any time coming in, they're just stick in my area.
Okay.
And I will also tell them, please obey the speed limit coming out of here, and I do know who's doing it. And I will talk to that person personally, because
I
You
think
gotta get
we
your,
have-
you
It's
gotta
not-
He
get
was just sitting right
you
here,
know.
wasn't he?
It's
Yeah, you gotta get your tenant involved.
it wasn't him.
This guy's got bigger tires.
Anyway, yeah, I just,
Okay,
and the other thing is, I know what you're saying, but it does, again, like we're talking, you have a meeting here, and you lose a few parking spaces because people leave the car there.
Yeah.
It's a premium.
Oh, yeah, and I've been, 16 years I've been here, every time I get new tenants, they start parking in front of the house, and right on their contract to me says, there is no parking other than in your parking spot, and they don't read the rules.
So
And I
So
have to
Jeff, are
go
we
and
just
see
gonna
it.
do the handicap and do that end of it, or are we gonna stripe this whole thing out?
That would look ridiculous.
yeah,
That's what
I
I
think
thought.
they'll think,
I think we'll put,
Yeah.
stripes back.
If anything, like I said, you need to put the yellow
Yeah.
stressing, because that is,
it's gonna have to wait to spring.
well, yeah, I figured that.
No, that's fine,
Okay, thank you.
we should do it. We'll do
Thank
it.
you. That was the end of my public comment.
Brian, any public comment?
Question on the thing, on the non-public that you have down here.
Yes.
It says D, is that indeed correct?
It was for the,
It says RSA 91-3:3, dash A, colon 3,
we're
2D.
actually, we're not going into that right now, but
No,
Should
you're
be-
not
should be
going
in
to,
the,
but it's
it
on
might be-
the agenda.
I put it there, but they've decided that they didn't need to because they've had enough time to.
D is for sale of property and such like that.
Yeah, acquisition,
Acquisition, so-
and it was, to discuss bid prices. For the,
We did that before last week, when we talked about bid prices for the, transfer station prices, because we weren't sure if we were gonna put it out to bid at that point. So we did not wanna discuss prices, which were from one company.
Well, that's what I just kinda threw up, is, I mean, I didn't know if you were selling property or buying property.
No, but the thing is, we're buying services.
I understand you're buying services, but, yeah, I don't know if that, yeah.
that's the only letter that it falls under.
No, I'm just
Without
curious.
being personal to, employees
But,
or.
it's, if we were gonna, if we decided to go down the road, the path that we needed to put it out to bid, we were talking already about prices, and we had one prices in already, we didn't want that to be,
Yeah,
Public knowledge.
public knowledge,
No, I
to
understand.
keep it fair, but under this contract, I was told that we can extend this contract, we have the option of extending this contract, and, so we didn't have to, that's why we're not sealing any minutes or anything like that. We had that option in the case we had to tonight, if there was any dissenting, like, you know how Dave dissents on everything over here.
What you gotta do?
But we kept that option open if we had to,
So you can cross that out, we're not
Yeah.
going into non-public.
so it is no non-public tonight.
right. Again, I'd like to stress that I have to say I'm disappointed in the direction the board's going with this bridge. You know, I think the transparency is being lost here, and
Well,
that's
I can assure you that,
disconcerting.
yeah, I can assure you that, the thing is, the town report will reflect, in his budget will reflect any shuffling of any dollars. It's just that we don't wanna go ask the town, I agree with Jeff, that we shouldn't have to go ask the town for more money at this point.
That's the nature of the beast, though. I mean, if you have the surplus, as you call it, or actually unassigned fund balance, you can utilize that
Towards the warrant.
towards the warrant.
Yeah.
And that way it's done all above board and everybody knows where the money is going and where it's coming from and how much it's actually gonna cost. You know, and I think, you know.
Well, that said though, as Mike said, if they took the time to read the book, they could find the information.
Not always.
But
If
the
they
thing
took
is,
the time to
Because
read
it's not always as
there are,
always right there
there
in
are
front of
pros and
you.
cons of the bridge. I think the cons far way out, the cons far less than the pros. We have sunk money into the bridge already, and the thing is, we have put good money, good taxpayers' dollars into the bridge
Don't
already.
deny that.
And to basically say goodbye to the bridge, with being aware of all those health safety issues, be aware of the convenience factors for many residents who have lost that. And I think it's an asset at this point that we don't wanna necessarily throw away.
That's fine, Danny, but like I said, there's I think a better way, a proper way, a more transparent way to do it than taking money out of this budget, because the budget is a maintenance budget for the town. It's not a capital improvements budget for the town. That's another whole different story. That's the warrant article aspect of things.
Yeah, but I don't wanna debate it too much, but I hear you
That's
loud,
fine.
no, I hear you loud and clear, but I think the town has already voted for the bridge. And, we're just trying to, shall I say, close the book on this bridge finally. And knowing that, you can only plan so much, and
True.
the thing is, unexpected things come up, and this was an unexpected thing came up. And, it was beyond the capability of our town to actually install the bridge. And so what do? We're not gonna go back to the voters and ask them to basically, geez, we made a mistake. No, these were unknowns at the time.
Shame on us, we made a mistake, own up to it and take it. And
Right, but the thing
deal
is,
with it.
but that's what we're doing. But the thing is, it'll be visible, it'll be transparent.
Yeah.
And I think also the road agent, he's already taken, right here in these public meetings, he's taken, accountability for what has happened there, and said, it's something beyond his capabilities, he's taken it in two of the meetings, I've heard him say it.
Yeah.
And so,
I'm not denying that.
when he goes in front of the townspeople, I'm sure it's gonna be part of his whole demeanor when he's up there talking to them about, the additional money and whatnot, so I think that, everything's gonna be above board and everything's gonna be, taken care of in that aspect. I'm not worried about hiding anything, cause we're not, and I take my hats off to a department head that wants to use his own budget to
Work with
finish
it.
a project. and not try and take it from another part of the town to do it, so.
Yeah.
And I guess,
Just to interject, and we'll take accountability for the way we finance it, because it is a need, and as Jeff said, you know, different parts of town, people travel different roads. I never go down Grapevine Road. To me, it's a waste of money, it's a lot of money, but it's part of the town.
No, I understand.
So, with the fact that I hear people that live at the end of Ray Road, that can't get closer to town, can't get fire protection, can't get police protection, cause it takes a lot longer to get there. EMTs, we got one old guy that lives down the end of that road that would love to see it, the bridge there, cause it'd be easier to get to him if something happened.
I think we had a fire call today on Ray Road, come to think of it.
But they can get protection, so I mean, I think the
But
saying that they can't get
it's
protection is
delayed
erroneous.
protection,
Yeah.
so, you know, it benefits some, it doesn't in town, there are things that benefit people in different areas, and
I understand
dealing
that.
with that. To have a bridge, I think is, it's not justifiable to people to tell them that, yeah, we get the precast bridge, but it sits over in Henniker.
Yeah. Well,
You know.
they know it costs, $300,000, I don't know if they would've voted for it in the first place.
At that point, you're right, but we're beyond that now.
Yep. Again, so that's why I just,
but it goes back to the original, the thing is, it was we underestimated, the town as a whole, I think we underestimated how much it was gonna cost. But we've crossed the point of no return.
And I think as Bob said, as select board, we'll take responsibility on how we finance it. Just like we have to take responsibility on how we're gonna clean up the town hall at some point with the.
One more
library.
point is that it is not being hidden at all because it's on camera. Again, if people can take a little bit of their responsibility and do a little due diligence, they'll know what's going on. So it's not being hidden or anything. They can watch this and know everything that happened tonight, you know?
well, maybe not hidden, it's just not the, how do you say it? It's-
Proper way to go about it?
Yeah, proper and transparent.
Yeah,
like-
well, I don't know about transparent, but proper maybe, but
Well,
again,
my concern, at least my concern is, I've been hearing for year after year after year, when it's gonna be fixed, and the thing is,
Oh, yeah.
well,
to delay it even for another town meeting, just to say, we need more money, I said, we have maybe a mechanism of funding it to completion, even possibly be completed right around town meeting. I think that's fantastic, because it's been pushed off too long and just too long. And so we're being a little creative, and that's what it is, we're being a little creative with our financing, and we got a small windfall from the state, we're gonna use that appropriately for the right project, and, we just gotta move forward. It can't be, again, to me, it gets almost like the town hall here.
Well, again, this is public comment, it's not debate time.
No,
Yeah, so
no,
I'm just stressing my point that
No,
I disagree and disappointed.
So noted, and I appreciate your comment and your concern, and, I'm sure you're not alone out there either. Okay, Jeff?
The only thing I got is, I mean, I hear this all the time, everybody wants to use this term, transparent. I don't understand what's so not transparent with the way the town of Dunbarton runs. I mean, it's all public stuff. I mean, the records are there, the documents are there, there's right to know. I mean, I think everything is run transparently. It seems it's the big term everybody wants to use. Granted, things are not spoon-fed to everything, and people seem to wanna be, or some people seem to wanna be spoon-fed everything, but I really, it's there. I mean, it's all there. You guys don't, as a board of selectmen, don't, everything's out there.
Okay,
Good or bad.
and we're on tape to document it. Okay, I'm gonna bring it back, close the public comment, I'm gonna bring it back to the selectmen. I'm gonna start off with Dave.
I'm good this week, I think everything's been pretty well covered during the meeting.
Okay, and I go to Bob.
Okay, I got a few things. We've dragged this out long enough, and everybody was concerned with how the quilt would look, you know, with chairs against it or whatever. We have located a place that costs very little, so I'd like to make a motion that we move the quilt over to the library, and it's gonna be under watchful eyes of Mary, and actually more people, you know, and I'm gonna do this without having to go into the debate, more people will get a chance to see it there than they would here, because they have an increased number of people using the library now.
Bob, do you think we even need a motion or just a consensus of the board? I think a
Well, you know
consensus
what, I just as soon have a motion, because down the road, someone's gonna wanna bring it back here anyway, so.
is- They'll make their own motion anyways.
so-
I'll second the motion on that. I've looked at the location, it is gonna be in a more shaded spot, I think, there will be some more younger visitors looking at it.
Yeah, they should appreciate it, you know?
So, I think it's a good spot that will protect it.
Now, as we go into discussion, I got a question. Am I gonna have to climb the ladder?
Why not, you're the younger guy.
No, he shouldn't.
I'm the bigger.
Yeah, but he's heavier.
You don't wanna buy a ladder that can hold me.
Okay, all in favor of making the move?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Okay, I got a couple more, you're trying to get.
Yeah, I'm running out of
quick.
film.
I didn't,
Any, you know, the projects that we have going on where we should be encumbering money?
Any of the projects,
Well, like the crushed stone,
we have to cover it.
that's
but
already
we
been
have-
encumbered,
that's
that's
encumbered,
yeah.
okay.
that's taken care of.
But if we have any others that you can think of,
Oh, I'll go through
just
that
make
with
a
the find.
quick list, and I know we're gonna wanna encumber your,
I know, we
Your money,
oftentimes
so-
we get some from the cemetery trustees that you have a contractor in place that you wanna encumber, but I haven't seen anything.
So we're gonna check with department heads on that, or put out another letter, or what are you doing with it?
No, I think it's really only things that we might have, pending contracts,
Okay.
that we're
like the door,
responsible
if the
for.
door doesn't
The door,
get fixed, you
Yeah,
know?
that needs to be encumbered, yeah.
So that's why I wanted to just make sure these small things
Yeah.
that we're trying to
Gotta pay for 'em
accomplish.
again, yeah, we need money.
And then I got one more.
It's okay, Bob.
Cause I get a few calls, cause people do watch the videos. I get a few calls as far as the, projected raises for next year. Not for the town employees, but people thought they were being left out of making a decision for the elected officials with their increase, because they thought, and one comment was, you know, they have a warrant article for $1,000 for equipment for the cafeteria at the school that we always have. Why can't we make the decision? So I'm gonna do this again. I'm gonna ask us if we can reconsider the elected officials, that we have a warrant article for the 2% raise at town meeting. I don't know if anyone else is, I'll probably say it alone again, but.
I'll second that, and the thing is, I'll second that only from the standpoint that that was my original intention. Bring it as a warrant. And the thing is, one voter did come to me after the fact and said he wanted to vote on it.
Well, I know I instructed people to call both of you, but you were out of town, I think. So I
You
didn't
had no
know
calls.
I didn't know if he got any hits, but now that we're,
I only got one.
now that we have a second so that we can debate this I think probably most people would accept a 2% raise. I was told by one person that you're changing their compensation, and we'd like to decide that.
I wanna
So-
correct that, I did get one call, and I did return it a couple times, but I have not gotten through, so I did get one call.
You did too?
so, Yeah.
So, you know, whatever happens, it gives them a chance to choose on elected officials. Now, as far as town employees,
The actual
I
motion.
still would leave that alone because I think they deserve it. I think the town officials probably will get their raise, you know, but people want a chance to make that decision.
Bob, I agree, because that's where I was starting from the beginning, and, I was kinda like, I felt I was, Dave and Lean kinda like put me down a little bit, in a, not a negative way, but the thing is, thought it was too small of a warrant.
After seeing the numbers, when we were originally talking about, I thought the numbers were much larger than we were. And after seeing the numbers, it was a, $2,000 warrant article, and I didn't think it was something that needed to go in front of the voters.
And that's kinda like I was leaning towards you, but then when I got one person come up to me and said, hey, no, why can't I was concerned that he was not, we were taking he said, I'm voting on my own pay raise. He thought that was wrong. And so, it's going back to what I originally stated.
Well, they say, one person said they vote on $1,000 for the cafeteria, so you know, they like a chance to make a decision. So,
I think it would be a quick warrant anyways, I don't think it's gonna be a huge warrant. I don't think there's gonna be a lot of debating people on that.
well, with the milfoil, might take you a
The
while.
simplest warrant articles are the longest ones.
So you making that an actual motion now?
Bob made the
I
motion.
made the motion.
Mike seconded.
To reconsider
Reconsider.
our vote from the prior week.
And make that a warrant article.
And Mike seconded it, right?
And we're in discussion phase now.
I've heard
Dave,
the
you
word
think-
motion, but
you
I
think
wanted
you-
to be clarified.
Reconsider it?
I don't care if it gets reconsidered, I just think it's,
It is small, but the thing
it's
is
small and I think it's gonna be cumbersome and I think it's gonna be a, arguing point at town meeting over
well, the thing
a
is,
very trivial.
I don't think you're gonna get many elected officials standing up there. I'm not gonna stand up there and say, I want my 2%.
No, as I stated before with Bob, I was all in favor of us not taking one, cause I don't want one or
But-
make it, but I think you were
but-
hard and fast on having us
I
all or
was,
none.
because the road agent is not gonna get up there and demand his 2%.
No, so that's why I thought it was good that we vote on it, and I think that,
But the thing is, who would vote on that? The thing is, then you say, well, who would vote on ours?
But you end up disenfranchising the residents that feel they should have the ability to make that decision on elected officials, because they elect the officials. And you're changing the compensation in a sense. So, I mean, and at least now I'm on camera, so they know at least I'm arguing that point.
and you were on camera before saying the same thing, Bob.
Yeah,
But the thing is, and I also went back in history, I asked Lean, the thing is, some previous boards arbitrarily set salaries for elected officials without any voter input. And,
We're not those boards.
no, and the thing is, and I'm talking about not small amounts, I'm talking about good amounts, I think that's wrong. I think the compensation for elected officials should be by the legislative body, the voters. And I think, and I'm gonna be hopeful that I think the voters will either go up or down, yea or nay, and it'll be quick. Because it's gonna be, I guarantee many elected officials won't be going there begging. But the thing is, they'll have the transparency of having the voters weigh in on it.
I actually think it'll probably pass, but the point is giving them the opportunity to, express themselves. And, whether there's people that talk against it or for it, I don't think it's gonna take a lot of time.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Okay.
So, 2-0?
2 and 1.
2-1.
That's right, 2-1.
2-0.
Call me a zero.
I mean,
That was getting
You're
back.
not getting the stripes.
I'm getting half a
He's
stripe
putting
now.
parking spaces in.
I'm not used to doing this, usually all vote together, so.
And I think that was, I know there was something else, but I forgot, so.
Oh, no.
Hey, Bob, you did bring up a note that I wanna bring up quickly. The library door, did they ever get back with the new hardware pricing?
Yeah, it's a couple $100 more.
Oh, so it
It's
wasn't,
That was
not
just
the,
like
it's
we
not,
thought.
it's
Yeah.
not the,
and so they're scheduled?
door's been ordered, they're
Okay.
They're waiting for the
milling
blank.
it or whatever it is they
Yeah.
do. He'll do the painting and prepping, and then he'll bring it in.
Okay, and we did talk to him about making sure it's a paint grade on the outside and
Yes,
stain
yes,
graded side.
yes.
Okay, we did,
Yeah.
alright.
Yep, we did.
And for the record, I today silicone the door hardware and graphited the lock, because it was stuck.
Do you want a pat on the back?
I do. I'm gonna, where do I send my bill?
Okay, I'm good.
Okay, now I'm gonna go to town administrator,
I'm done for tonight.
and I'm gonna go to Warren.
I'm all set, I got my striping.
We haven't got it yet.
Okay, I'm awaiting the motion,
Yeah.
gentlemen.
Fading fast.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn the meeting at 9:39.
Second.
All in favor?
You guys are late tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have.
Jeff, did your mom get the cane?
Yeah.